What's up, everybody who's waiting? Welcome back to another episode of Jedi Jive, number 21. We got Jenny, we got Johnny from All New Nerds. We got a Ahsoka Tano fan today, hopefully. Going to be talking about Loki and Bad Batch. Some excellent reveals this week. Can't wait to chat with you guys. Looking forward to it. Stick around. Oh, I've got to unmute myself. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Jedi Jive. We got an excellent crew today. I'm really excited. We
might be getting one more.
We might. Yo, Dylan might be popping in. Cool.
Yeah.
We got Jenny. We got Johnny from All New Nerds. We got Jasmine from Ahsoka Tano fan. The Ahsoka Tano fan. Repping the Canucks. And the ladies. Nice. We finally have a good balance here. At least
Yeah, wait. This is like
Thank
a first.
goodness.
No, tell Dylan not to come now. Don't.
Yeah, no.
He's
Oh,
gonna
let's do it. Let's do it.
I've got a
Finally
nice
got
little
good balance.
4-square arrangement here, and I got 2 girls, 2 boys.
All right, I'll tell him no.
No. Tell him to pop
Perfect
in. No. We want him. We want him in here. The
Perfectly
more the
balanced
merrier.
like the Force.
Yeah.
Nice, Jazz. I love your hair today.
Oh, thank you. I actually just did it. I put little.
Yeah, it looks really nice.
Nice.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
We
Yeah.
talk a lot about hair on this channel.
That's
Yes.
true.
Oh yeah.
Hashtag free the hair.
Yeah.
Mike, are you gonna free the hair today?
I don't want to disappoint. I'm not going to free the hair because you know what? I'm just going to be 100% honest with you guys. I did not shower yesterday. So I'm.
Gross.
And I just mowed
good.
my lawn. It would not. No, it's not pretty. No.
Lavelle's
Unless
already
you wanna
Team
see the
Johnny. I've
legs.
seen your video, and I am not Team Johnny. I mean, I'm Team Johnny in life, but not on this particular
thank you.
topic. So we'll talk about that, Lavelle.
Oh,
Wait.
the Loki topic. Okay.
Oh yeah. Oh
Which
yeah.
topic?
I've got thoughts.
Which topic are we talking about?
I think.
Lady Loki and
Well, there was
the
parts to it.
sussness of the TVA and the
Okay,
blowing up
do
of the timeline.
Well, like with that said, since we got both Loki and Bad Batch this week to talk about, we didn't talk about either yet. Do you want to do Loki first, or you want to do Bad Batch first? Who wants to?
It's your
Where-
show,
where should we-
man.
where
But
should
we
we
can do
ju-
Loki
Your
first
show,
just
dude.
for release, for your release
All right,
release schedule. We can do that first if you want.
all right, cool. Yeah, let's talk
Yeah,
about Loki.
There's a little,
What- So Team
little
Johnny, what are-
drama
fill me
within
in.
within our own channel. Because
Oh, really?
I don't. Well, I'm partly joking, but yeah. So there's this divide because I personally think that that the variant timeline and the multiverse are 2 separate things, and I think what the show is gonna be about, really, the rest of the show is Loki fixing those variant timelines, and they don't think that because they're like, oh, he's gonna realize that the TVA is bad, but they wouldn't set up this big of a problem and not have a solution to it. Like they wouldn't just ignore it. So it
I
doesn't
have
really make
many
sense
thoughts
to me.
about that. I'm less
Okay.
invested in the multiverse versus
Yeah,
timeline
yeah. That was just
world
part of
building
it.
philosophy.
That was
That's
part
a
of it.
world building question that like they'll tell us when they tell us. Right
Yeah.
now, I mean,
Well,
we're
also, I'm part of that. I think that I think they are two separate things, because I feel like it would be better if they explained it in Doctor Strange a little bit more.
right,
Because I
which
feel
I'm
like
sure
that's
they
gonna be
will.
that's gonna be seen more, and it's a movie. So I mean, like, obviously Loki is doing really well, but
Yeah.
if
I'm less
that makes
invested
sense,
in
they
the
usually
world
do things in
building
the
questions
movies.
because those are things that we
Right.
won't know until they tell us.
Right.
And I know, and especially because I've read interviews with Michael Waldron and Kate Herron where they're like, we're really making an attempt to get the world building out of the way and explain like the rules of
Yeah, and they did
time
it pretty
travel in
quickly.
this world.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
they are like trying to keep those rules clear, but the vocabulary of multiverse versus timeline, I'm less invested in having any opinion about that.
What part do you disagree with me about?
So
Wait, hold on
the
a second,
idea that
Johnny.
multiple timelines are bad.
Johnny, you
The
specifically
idea
think
that there is
the
anything redeemable about the TVA. The more and more I've thought about
You
it,
think
Mike
they're
and I
just
have talked
straight
a lot.
bad?
We've talked about in like our
Interesting.
lives, huh?
Oh no, I said interesting. Yeah, no, keep going.
So from, you know, we've talked a lot in our lives and also in our reactions, Mike and I, in our reactions about the many reasons that the TVA is sus. If anybody's on our Discord, I have put like dramaturgy, like lengthy literal essays about like some of the literary and cultural influences behind this. So so if you're interested in that and in looking at side-by-side photos of some of the aesthetic references, our Discord is rich with that stuff. You can take that conversation over there.
You
But-
brought it into ours too, which is funny. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I have, but it's like, it's a lot easier to do real dramaturgy on Discord than it is during a live. Like
Jenny's been on Discord all of like 2
I
days,
know.
and she's already like hijacked
way
Wait,
multiple
so I was
more
gonna say, because you
servers.
just got it then, because I don't.
But like,
This is,
Yeah.
definitely,
recent.
if you're interested in like some of my extremely nerdy research, it's a lot easier to facilitate via Discord than it is to mess with our live by doing all of that. And it allows me to go into more depth and provide, you know, imagery and stuff. But the very long story short of why I think there is nothing good about the TVA is that it is explicitly, both thematically and visually being tied to Brazil, 1984, Metropolis. They're all totalitarian dystopias, every single one of those stories. Also to like Mussolini in real life. Like there are very explicit references, whether it's the verbiage on those posters that are very threatening, whether it's the propaganda video.
I remember you mentioned that as well.
Statues, like it's 1984 and all the things that are related to that in both history and literature.
Right.
And when you're explicitly
That part-
making a
this part I
reference to
agree with.
1984 and fascists, that's all we need to know. They're fascists. They're not good. But as far as Lady Loki goes, we haven't really, including me, everybody sort
I
of
don't
including
think it's
me.
Lady Loki, guys.
Yeah.
We hadn't really, but
think
whoever
it's
she
Lady
is, she might be the
Loki.
Enchantress. She might be like they've combined two characters. I think there's more to learn about who that is.
Yeah.
For sure.
Again, I'm not so invested in that because we'll know when we know. But we've had a lot of conversation where everybody, including me, has been like, oh, well, she did something bad. We've got to deal with that. And then we'll deal with the TVA. That was literally my comment during our reaction, was like, we have to triage this time situation and then we'll get to the TVA and how shady they are. And the more I've thought about it this week, the more I disagree with that. I disagree with my own previous thoughts on the matter. I don't think she's a terrorist. I think she's a freedom fighter.
Mm-hmm.
I think she is hiding out in apocalypses like Crazy Horse hanging out in the Black Hills, picking off the cavalry a few at a time. And in this case, the cavalry is the TVA. And I think this entire idea that there's one sacred timeline, we did talk about this, that what the TVA is doing is actively suppressing free will. Like humans have free will inherently in this universe, but anytime somebody, or not just humans, all these species, beings have free will, but every time anybody does something, anytime anyone makes a choice that's different from the one that the TVA has already pre-selected, they snip them out of existence. They snip them off the timeline so that you have free will, but if you use it, you get erased.
Yeah.
Right.
And that, again, that's 1984. They're like the thought criminals. If you dare even to have a thought, or if there's even a hint that you might have a thought that is
The
your
thought
own
police.
and not directly in service of the party, you get executed. You get arrested and executed, and they make up lies about you.
Yeah.
And Jenny, I would even say that, remember they were saying, Mobius was saying how nothing, or I think he was saying existence is chaos and nothing really makes sense. So it's kind of ironic that the TVA is trying to apply such order to something that is so chaotic, you know? And
I so agree.
yeah, it's kind of ironic.
I don't
Well, and
actually
then
have an
we've-
opinion yet whether or not I think Lady Loki character is bad or not. Because I feel like it's only the second episode, and we need to absorb more information before we can make even an educated speculation. Because right now she could be the Enchantress, she could be Lady Loki, she could be a
Right.
combination of the two characters, and anything could work. But we need to learn more before we can.
I do
get
agree. I
to-
think I think there's stuff we don't know about her, and definitely the sort of potential confusion of those two characters is part of it. And obviously, like, we make a lot of predictions, and half of them at least are proven wrong ultimately. But this is one thing where even if the storyline of this show doesn't go in this direction, I'm pretty convinced philosophically that like even if the show ends up telling us that the TVA is good, I'm not going to be convinced, because if you
I never
use,
said the TVA was good.
like, this
by the way. I
lack of
just for the record.
transparency and this much deception, I just don't think that's defensible.
I've never said that.
I also agree with
Record.
something Levi said during your
Hey, wait, Jenny.
discussion, which
Jenny, hey.
what?
Cool it for a second. Let somebody else
Hey.
talk.
Oh no, that's fine.
I need to rein her in for a second. Jenny's got like more. She's on overload.
Cannot be reined in.
I know. Jasmine, go ahead.
Oh no, it's great. No, I was just gonna add to what you're saying.
Chaos and order. Here's your example right here. Sorry.
No, like, it definitely kind of gets us. I think it's meant to get us thinking, where there's not like a true good or bad guy or group of people.
Yeah.
And it's sort of like what Loki even said. No one, I think he said no one good is truly good and no one bad is truly bad.
Mhm.
So I guess the whole thing with the TVA, it's supposed to kind of get us thinking, like, where do they fall in that? Are they good, bad, somewhere in between? But
Yeah.
I'm with Jenny. I think I'm kind of leaning more towards bad, because I don't know, like, who gives them the right to decide all of these things? I don't know. How do they
Well,
not
and
know
there's
the
this,
third
like-
variance,
The timekeepers, it's gonna be like a Wizard of Oz situation.
Yeah,
I feel like.
100%, 100%. It
Mhm.
is.
Guarantee you,
It's
there's
Wizard of
someone,
Oz,
there's someone that's
Big
so all those
Brother.
statues, like, and what's her name?
Ravonna
Ravonna
Renslayer.
Renslayer?
Yeah, in her
Oh, yeah.
office.
Yeah.
Um,
Did you guys
I
notice
bet
how?
when we see them, that's not what they're gonna look like.
Did you notice how Mobius was like starting to point out how the one in the middle was like different? He was like, actually, that one's kind of, and then Ravonna like cut him off.
Yeah.
So like
No,
even
there's-
Mobius, who
there's-
says
yeah.
he doesn't know them, is like being like, is that one kind of like?
Well,
the
yeah. I mean,
ringleader?
he's never met him.
So we're wondering if
that.
this is like this eventually leads to Kang, basically.
Well,
like,
and I think, yeah,
I don't
potentially.
is the
know-
man behind the curtain Kang?
I'm not convinced
And
that
Ravonna's
one
the
way
only
or
one
the
that's
other,
in
if
on it.
like Ravonna's like evil or not. I don't know how much she knows or how much power she actually has, but I think she probably knows more than Mobius and more than anybody else
Yeah.
does.
She had he kept talking about some special like sidekick or something. I can't remember if he said partner. Like, he kept asking her, and then, or am I your favorite, or something like that.
Yeah.
I kind of got the impression that maybe there's definitely more there than she's telling him.
Yeah.
She knows the
There's
most story.
there's
Yeah,
stuff
I
held
agree.
back for sure. Yeah.
There's this thing with I'm saying the TVA is shady, and there is a sort of an ethical hitch there, which is that I'm very much on this theory of the Minutemen, the agents, the employees of the TVA. I think they're variants whose timelines were pruned, and 100% agree with the theory that Levi and Dylan were espousing during your discussion, which is that, like, when C20 had that little breakdown and she was like,
Mhm.
it's real, it's like her memories are still in there. It was a Get Out moment for me. It was the Get
Yeah,
Out scene
it
from
definitely
WandaVision
was.
when, like, Vision
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
into the head of his office buddy, and he was like, oh my God, we're trapped in here, help us. And
I just made that connection now.
if anyone
Yeah.
hasn't seen
Good
Get
job,
Out,
Mike.
please watch it. It's an amazing movie. But there's a scene when, like, Lakeith Stanfield wakes up from his
Yeah.
suppressed personality.
Yeah.
And it was that moment. And I think maybe that's why Mobius, like, has this 90s fixation as well, is because, like, he was a dude in the 90s and their timelines were pruned. But the suggestion is that it is like a Get Out scenario or a Westworld scenario where, like, their memories are still in there. And that's so
Right.
dark, because that means they've been brainwashed. They've been made into drones. They're slaves.
Well,
In
the
case
B
you didn't know what it
B50
was.
lady, the like the ring, the main
Yeah.
the
Wunmi
main
Mosaku.
yeah, she had one of those moments too after she got touched.
Yeah.
And she came out, like, when she woke up, she looked terrified for a second. So does she get to keep that now? Does she now, like, know something new that she didn't know before? Like, is she going to be?
That, to me, is where the potential for revolution is, though, because if enough of these people wake up and start to remember their own memories,
Yeah.
and realize that they've been brainwashed and that they're being held captive. That is part of why I think that like Lady Loki or whoever she is, this figure, this variant, that she's more likely a freedom fighter, like a rebel,
Right.
than a terrorist, because I think what she just did was liberate the concentration camps. I think when she bombed that timeline, she freed the slaves and gave everybody their free will back.
99.9% sure of that 0.1%. Yeah, I mean, like,
Yeah.
it just like that has to happen.
If you,
I would be
the
shocked if it didn't.
new Rockstars
Oh,
did
the
that,
jet
like
ski?
the
Yeah,
breakdown of
100%
all
we have
the
to see that.
Oh, and then the jet ski. Oh my god, that better be the end credit scene of the show.
Yes.
just Mobius and Mobius
That
and
better be it.
Loki
I
on a
swear
jet
to
ski
God.
together.
Yeah.
And
Two of
Mobius
them
is
on
like,
jet skis, it would
wow,
be so romantical
wow,
if they just
wow,
both got to ride off into the sunset on their
wow.
jet skis together.
Yeah, that's
God.
all I want from this show. That's all I want.
Jazz, can you do an Owen Wilson wow? Can you do a wow?
Wow.
Oh, me?
Yeah, can you do wow? Everybody's got to do it.
Wow.
Not as
It's
good as
that-
you guys.
That's
He's
like
great
it's
though, isn't he? Like, if you think about it too, if you Google Mobius, the Mobius loop is like that. You've seen it probably
Yeah.
before. It's got like
The
one
Mobius
side,
strip.
it kind of
yeah.
exactly. And that's almost ironically how I kind of feel Mobius and Loki's relationship is. You never know who's onto who and who's tricking who and
Right.
who's gonna end up on top in the end, you know?
Mm, yeah.
Definitely.
Some people have pointed out that Tony Stark's thing where he made time travel is an inverted Mobius strip, is what he said when he made it in Infinity War or in Endgame.
Endgame. Yeah.
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 I wonder if we'll hear some more about this kind of stuff in Ant-Man, Quantumania, and
Yeah.
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 Yeah. So the whole thing with Kang, I want it. Like I think everybody wants it. I just don't think it's gonna happen. I think they're gonna save him for.
I think if
Ant-Man.
it's there, it's going to be a tease. It's not going to.
Yeah,
be
I
like
don't
that.
think he's
Yeah.
gonna be around. If he's there, he's teased, or like
mean,
the
to my-
story is teased. Even the way
Right.
the Doctor
To my
Strange,
recollection,
like,
he was
teased in
casted
WandaVision.
before. He was casted like maybe as Loki was filming or before Loki was filming. So I don't know.
he hasn't confirmed, like he hasn't said anything about it, but you never know. Like
Right.
there could
Hmm.
just be a lot of Marvel stars trying not to get.
Yeah.
Tom
Well,
Holland
that's
did,
they keep
you know?
Actually,
on a lock and key. For
It,
sure.
it did kind of just occur to me though that like like WandaVision, like obviously there's more to the story, but like they wrapped it up. Falcon and Winter Soldier, like obviously all of these stories continue and there's more threads to follow, but like that storyline got wrapped up like nicely. It's like a happy ending. Loki, like we might just be kind of assuming that we're gonna get like wrapped up at the end, but we may not. Like we may.
Well, the show is supposed to have the. I mean, it already has.
Well, season
already
2's
has
in
had huge
development, and
implications.
Kevin Feige has
So there
like
you go. If you
repeatedly
meet
said
Kang
that.
in
Right.
Ant-Man, and then we know more about him, we learn more about him when Loki 2 comes around, then all of a sudden, like so I'm saying we don't actually need to get to the finish line in the next 4
Right.
episodes.
Oh yeah, no,
We
I
could-
don't think so.
So yeah,
At all, yeah.
there could be the implication that he's there, then we meet him in Ant-Man, and then when we get back to it, like then we know more
Yeah,
about him. It's
I
like,
think-
oh, he's the big bad now.
I think that could happen. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's a potential.
King of
Because-
Cards 117. This is exactly what I was like literally thinking just now, Johnny, as to your question about like why would they create this problem if they didn't intend to solve it.
Yeah,
So 2 things about that. I'm not sure it's actually a problem. I think like multiple timelines are potentially able to exist and people can have free will. And that actually might support your multiverse is a different thing theory, because multiple
they are.
timelines existing wouldn't necessarily mean that dimensions were collapsing on each other.
I think the
Those
red
could be two
line.
separate things.
That's the break into.
Well,
the multiverse.
didn't the
Breaking
miss
into another dimension potentially if you
Yeah.
if you get to that red
Johnny.
line. Maybe.
for sure.
That's a
What's up?
world building question. But this thing about the Spidey, I think there's a strong possibility, if indeed Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire and Spider-Ham and whoever like
Ugh,
coming into
live action
the
Spider.
new Spider-Man movie, which like we've heard this speculate. There's no confirmation, but we have this like idea that there are other Spidey
I would be
from
shocked
previous
now.
franchises
Right now,
coming.
I would be shocked if none of this
Well,
came. true.
potentially those
Be
are
more shocked
variants.
if it
Like the
did.
timelines didn't all get repaired, and multiple timelines exist at
Oh
once.
no, I meant just because
Maybe
all
the
the rumors
dimensions
and
are
stuff.
open, and
That
so
would be epic.
Yeah,
know,
I'd
that
just be
wouldn't-
shocked if it didn't happen now. With everything
right.
that's
So
being
like
set up
that
and
would be
everything
like
that's
the
been rumored
timeline
and
didn't
leaked
get
and
all
whatnot,
repaired.
so.
There's more than one, right?
Yeah, I just like with the whole the reason I think that the variant timeline thing and the multiverse is two separate things. Like I mean, two separate things because like they're just
So-
entirely different Earths. Because you got to think about like the one that Raimi set up and the one that.
Right.
Well, Johnny, you were pointing
Garfield's.
out how in the like waiting room,
Garfield.
there's all the like waiting
Garfield's.
out how in the like waiting room, there's all the
Way
like
different.
propaganda on the walls when the Miss
Yeah.
Minutes cartoon was going off. But like the Miss Minutes cartoon itself is propaganda.
It's
So like,
such blatant
yeah,
propaganda.
the very story
Well.
that she's telling could just all be Bubkiss. You know,
Right, well, exactly.
there
are
is no multiverse
What did you say?
yet.
Bubkiss?
Yeah, I
Bub-
couldn't think of a word.
Bubkiss.
I like
Bubkiss.
that. I like that.
I couldn't think of a word.
Yiddish.
But then
Yiddish,
actually, you know
yes,
what? We didn't talk
Yiddish.
about this. I thought this was fascinating. And do you guys remember how we've been kind of talking about how cool it would be to like blend animation and live action with the Spider-Verse and get the like
The
Miles
Roger
Morales.
Rabbit thing, the Cool World thing. We've talked about that.
Yeah, and we actually got Miss Minutes like, and even Loki's like, "Are you a recording or are you real?" And she's like, a little bit of both. And it's like, wait, no, clearly like she had like. She was like an entity. It wasn't a recording. It was like it was an animated like living thing. It had
I know
like a
because it
mind
came out of the
its own.
computer, so I think it's.
But it wasn't like a hologram
Very
that was like
Black Mirror,
fixed
like-
to something. It could like
for
he was
sure.
like smacking at it, and she was like dynamic with the objects around her. Like you could hear her like landing on the keys and like. So it was very like she had a
Yeah.
form, you know. It wasn't just a projection or a hologram. It was
Well,
enough
and
to
that
make
would
Loki,
potentially
who's
be something that they could continue in Spider-Man with some of the Spider-Verse.
yeah. But even Loki,
characters,
who's a
potentially.
magician.
Do you mean
and
just like the
can
technology
shapeshift.
they use like for filming it, or do you mean like actually just like actually in the context of the show? I'm a little confused because you mean like because that came like from a computer. You're saying like if there was animated like Spider-Verse characters coming into the MCU, they'd be like real, right? Is that
Well,
what you
no,
think?
but I mean, like it's. I don't know. I feel like if you
Yeah.
brought Miles Morales into Spider-Man, he could look exactly the way he looks in Spider-Verse,
Here's
and
the thing.
it would be like it would be trippy. It would be like
Yeah.
a mind bender, but like it's one of those next steps that you can
Here's
take
why.
to make-
Okay,
Totally.
going off that, I think if you so obviously I assume we've all seen Into the Spider-Verse. So they all had different styles, and they all converged into Miles' universe and like adapted to his style. So again, if and Tom Holland was supposed to make a cameo in the original Spider-Verse as well, which I
Oh,
think he
okay.
might have a role in it in the second one. But
like a
anyways.
live action Tom Holland. Like
Yeah, no, it
where-
would have been an animated one. He just would have voiced it.
okay.
So
Yeah.
so my point is, if say these, these Spider-Verse characters, like even if it's the animated movie versions come into live action, they'd probably just be played by an actor. Like by
Yeah.
maybe live action, it wouldn't be like an animated type thing.
Yeah, I think it's fascinating how Loki, he himself is like a deceiver and a magician and a
Yeah.
shapeshifter and can like easily take on different forms and like, but like even he's deceived by like, are you real or are you a like even he
Right.
doesn't get it. Like
Yeah,
so
yeah,
it's
that was a weird part. I think the Miss Minutes was telling the truth, but I guess we'll wait and see. I definitely do think there's maybe a little bit more there, but
I think we'll see
Yeah.
a human form of her at some point.
That
yeah.
would be cool.
Serious?
oh yeah.
I mean, that video
Yeah.
is
So,
such
Wizard of
over the
Oz, we're
top,
gonna get a Wizard of Oz
blatant
scene for
propaganda.
It really was. Yeah.
But,
Very
I
similar to
don't know if
Jurassic
there's an
Park,
actual
but-
entity with
Mhm.
volition or with personhood that exists of this
Right.
Miss Minutes.
Yeah, we did this
figure.
last week, Jazz. We were doing the now you can make a baby dinosaur.
Baby dinosaur.
She had the same southern accent.
Yeah.
Sometimes the
intentional
mosquito
about
would
who it
land
was.
on the branch of a tree and get stuck in the sap. All right, I'm going on.
Love
now.
it.
So do we you guys want to Jenny, I know you're not really a Bad Batcher, but we had quite the event in Bad Batch this week.
We did.
I'm actually
Yeah.
excited about this myself. Like I even joined in the conversation on Discord.
Yeah,
because
she was
of the
talking- she was
possibility
talking
of a
about
Book
it.
of
There you
Boba
So did you read
crossover.
this or watch it?
I have neither. I just read the Discord and I saw what was happening
Zing.
in the moment, and like we were listening to some of your reaction yesterday. But the possibility, because
quite
we know it's
crazy.
coming
Yeah,
so soon,
guys.
the possibility of like Book of Boba crossovers with some of this, that's I will watch. I just am not much for the animated content.
Yeah.
But
That's fair.
Guys, if you haven't seen All New Nerds and Ahsoka Tano fans' reaction to Bad Batch this week, go check them out now. Everybody, I really was excited because everybody had a good reaction this week.
Yeah,
Everybody
we
was,
did a watch party. Then I clipped part of.
It's
that
not
part.
like it's not like Luke Skywalker and the Mandalorian, like insanity, but
no,
like
I
it's
didn't
it's,
cry.
it's
but
fun.
It was.
It's
it
fun
was-
seeing all Star Wars fans on the same page.
The last
you know,
time we
at the
saw
s-
Cad Bane was 10 years ago.
Is it though? It's more like 7
That
years
long?
ago.
10 years
This is
ago.
before, right? Of the Clone Wars.
No,
The last
really?
arc he was in was the box.
season
Yeah,
3.
Moralo fell, and then Obi-Wan faked his death, and
Is that
Yep.
season 3 or season 4?
season 4.
Season 4. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah,
The
that
last
was-
time.
Jeez.
Yeah.
He was also, I mean, if you want to count, he was in the Darth Maul comic, but I'm just saying.
That was actually that box episode is like that's the episode that really sets off Cad Bane as like because that guy tries to kill Obi-Wan in disguise,
Yeah.
Right.
and he's like
He stops.
and
Yeah.
he stands up for him and is like so like the honor is still there. I pointed that out about Fennec Shand in a few episodes back of Bad Batch, how like
Yeah.
they're deadly assassins. They kill people sometimes indiscriminately, but like at the end of the day, like they still have some honor in their in the way they approach things, especially when it comes to bounty hunting and like the way the code, you know, it's similar to the Mandalorian thing where like there's a certain code that they follow, and it's interesting to because I mean like it's not just like Cad Bane is like a cool character design and he sounds cool and that's why we love him. It's like no, we've actually seen him behave in really interesting ways that are like we know that he can face off against multiple Jedi Masters and live through it. And he's not a Jedi himself. So like that alone makes him like next level badass. That's why when we saw him go up against Hunter in this episode, there was no doubt. Did anybody doubt here that he was going to shoot Hunter? Like we knew that was going to happen.
Yeah. especially
Yeah.
after-
They wouldn't show Cad Bane have this big reveal and then be like, oh, he's dead.
Yeah, and they've established Hunter as like we saw him take down Fennec Shand. We've seen him like almost
They're
take down
both
Wrecker.
badass, but Cad Bane is more badass. If that
Yeah,
makes
yeah,
And that-
especially
that's
in the
what I
like.
think was, that they
gun
mirrored it
twirling.
after the Boba.
sense. Yeah.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Well, no, I was going to say that they definitely mirrored it after the untold stories, the confrontation between Bane and Boba.
Yeah, definitely.
Western
That scene is very
style, yeah.
reminiscent, for sure.
So there was like the same one, but I'm wondering.
I want to get that in live action.
Yeah.
Hope that happens in Book
I
of Boba
know,
Fett.
that'd be
That'd be
awesome.
really, really cool.
Well, I've seen some people theorizing that
Man, oh, man.
Boba Fett could come in soon and challenge Cad Bane for the
yeah,
the
there's still
bounty on
room for
Omega.
Boba.
Yeah.
There's still, yeah.
So
would
I
say-
don't want like now that Cad Bane's back. I'm like don't kill him. Now you
No,
brought him back.
I don't think. I think this means big stuff. And I think this means what we want.
You
so-
really think that they're gonna make live action Cad Bane, but like much older? And,
I do.
Wow.
How cool looking would that be for starters?
So
Like,
sick.
Yeah,
I
that-
So
would
many
want
cool
that
prosthetics.
so badly.
And that would be
I
so
wonder who
cool.
would play him.
It wouldn't be cheap to make it look good either. That's the kind of like it's more than just like you
It's-
put someone in blue face paint. No, like you need
Mike,
to have a
I don't know
fully
if you realize
prosthetic-
we're talking about Disney and Lucasfilm here.
No, I know, but I
They
meant
got
like
the budget. They got the budget.
I know
Maybe-
they do.
maybe
I
they
just
do.
They can
that's just
afford
one
it.
of those things
Yeah.
that you have to fully commit to it. Like if you get a live
For
action
sure.
actor, they're gonna need
Yes,
a full
right, right, right.
prosthesis on their
Yeah, yeah.
face. They're gonna
Yep.
need,
I think it'd be a mix. I think it'd be prosthetics and then it'd be CGI overlay.
wouldn't that just be ridiculous if they actually got Clint Eastwood to play Cad Bane?
No,
'Cause he-
Clint
Clint
Eastwood?
Eastwood is 91 years old.
Yeah,
and
but
now
Cad
his
Bane would
butt
be, like,
is
90
Donald
years
Trump's
old.
I don't want
butt,
that.
So it's
That's
unlikely
true,
to
though,
happen.
too.
Because I feel like
Next
Cad
Corey
Bane is
Burton
supposed to
or
be
no?
like 50-ish already, right? He seems like an old dude. Like
I
he's
don't
been
really
around
know
the
his
block.
age, to
He
be
didn't
honest.
get
I
to
can
be
look it
Cad
up.
Bane overnight.
Can look it
You know,
up.
they did kind of make Fennec Shand like during the time of Mandalorian, like Din Djarin knows who she is. Like that idiot that's like, oh, I'm gonna go collect this bounty, and he's like, no, you're not. That's Fennec Shand. She's an elite mercenary. You'll be dead before you know it. And it was one of those like Din Djarin, who we know to be like an ultimate badass. He's like, nah, I ain't touching that. Like she'll kill me. So he
You
knows
don't
that
touch
she'll.
Ming Na Wen.
So like, but this is supposed to be like 25 years or more earlier, right? And they kind of already
Yeah,
established.
I think
her
you're
as
right, Mike.
already being kind of lethal when she's young.
I think you're right, by the way.
About
his
what?
age. About his age.
Oh, that he's supposed to be like an old dude
50.
already. Yeah, so in order for him to show up in Book of Boba Fett, he's gonna have to be like 75 years old, aka they could get Clint Eastwood to play him, and that would just
Again,
be ridiculous.
91
That would be
years
ridiculous,
old and
but
very
I don't
busy
know.
talking to empty chairs at Republican
And does not-
conventions.
I don't know if that's gonna happen.
So-
Yeah.
Oh my goodness!
I don't know,
We were
man.
talking about
I don't
Doug
think
Jones
he's
last week.
senile.
They could get him. He is the guy for working in prosthetics, and he is
Yeah,
like
Doug
9 feet
Jones.
tall and thin as a rail.
Good call. We've
You
had the
would-
Doug
you'd
Jones
have to have a voice
conversation here.
actor.
I don't
to
really
voice
care
him,
who's
but-
embodying it. Well, I do and I don't. I
Could they
really
get
care about the
Corey Burton,
voice.
though? Could they
Has
get
Doug
Corey
Jones
Burton at
been
all,
in
or
Star
no?
Wars at all?
No.
Did we talk? No, he
I don't
hasn't.
think so.
No.
Ooh, Doug Jones as Cad Bane. Now that's a good call.
See,
Yeah.
right? You'd have to have a really badass voice actor.
He is lanky too.
but that dude
Yeah.
is a long, lanky guy, and he is the dude for prosthetic work.
That's a good mix for Cad
I'd
Bane.
be ready for that. He'd be great.
Yeah, the voice though, the voice is so huge too. Who's
Yeah,
the voice of Cad Bane?
Corey Burton.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
He voiced Zero and Count
Is he-
Dooku.
Okay.
Who
do you think-
voices him in Bad Batch or in any of the other
Same.
Clone Wars?
I
or-
believe it's Corey Burton still.
It's, yeah, it's definitely the same guy. Yeah.
Do you think
So
this
maybe
is
they
one of
could have
those
the
things?
Same voice actor.
Yeah, I was gonna say, is
I
this
know
one of
that-
those things where you can get a different voice actor to overdub?
I mean, it's not confirmed right now, but the
Like
Thrawn
Sam Witwer-
Thrawn actor from Rebels is going to be live action
Yeah.
Thrawn. So
They already had Sam Witwer do Maul's voice with
and Solo, right? They dubbed him over.
Right.
That's right. Yeah.
with what's his name doing the
Ray Park.
Ray Park, who we're pretty sure isn't coming back to Star Wars at this point, after
no,
his incident.
probably not.
Yeah.
I know that kind of sucks.
Yeah.
Anyways,
yeah. Moving on.
But no, that shocked the hell out of me. I did not see that coming at all. And I
Yeah.
I
thought figured out. I was like,
it was the weirdest night because I said it 5 minutes before it happened. I was like, "What if it's Cad Bane? What if we see Cad Bane?" in this episode?" It was the
Fun
weirdest moment, and then 5 minutes later it happened, and I was like, "What?"
Like
So
la-
weird.
last year when I was doing a review of the Bad Batch arc from the Clone Wars season 7,
Yeah.
I actually made a comparison to between Crosshair and Cad Bane. 'Cause they
Yeah.
both had the toothpick, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
toothpick,
yeah.
That's right.
Going up,
That's
I'm like,
funny.
oh, okay.
Yeah, they both had toothpicks in the. Oh no, well,
And they're both gunslingers. That's fun
They're
because
both gunslingers.
now
Bane
that
had a
Cad
toothpick, though.
now that presumably Cad Bane is bringing Omega right back to Kamino, but the Crosshair and his men are going to be hot on their tails because they're after the Bad Batch in general. That means they're
Right.
all going to conglomerate on Kamino at some point, right? So you might have a
I
Cad
I
Bane
think
Crosshair
there is an
interaction.
end- Ooh, sorry, I just knocked my mic. I think there is an ending on Kamino.
That would be fun to get a couple of gunslingers. Because I don't think of like Hunter as like a gunslinger necessarily, but that was definitely a cool.
Yeah, not
Like
really.
immediately, like you get the like the the Western music themes and the
Shout
sort
out
of
to
like
the
rattlesnake
Kiners.
sounds. Yeah, they,
Yeah. Shout out
it's
to-
You guys are
almost
really good at that.
it's not even out of place either. Like it's not necessarily like a Star Wars vibe, but it's I
We
don't
saw
know.
it
Cat-
in Mandalorian
It,
too.
it
Yeah.
worked.
Different,
Yeah.
It worked.
top end.
Yeah.
yeah, it really
Definitely.
that whole gunslinger musical theme thing really kind of brings
It
you in. It
worked.
gives you the vibe. Yeah, it worked perfectly. And also just like I do call it cinematography. I guess it's more sort of like the layout and the blocking of the animation itself. Just like the shots that they're taking, the way that they're composed, and like where it was it would show them like with their you know
It was a
tingling their
Western
little fingers
shootout.
on that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was a yeah.
you get the wide
Exactly.
shot of them both far
Yeah.
away, like you get Kylo and Luke in the Last
Get a
Jedi.
close up on the face.
Close up on the face, exactly.
And
Yeah,
then you get
the like between the legs
shot,
shot. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
awesome.
It's
The
all
thing
yeah.
is, like, do you think so you know how in the unfinished tales we had Bane versus Boba?
Right.
So are they saying that that
Didn't
did
happen.
not happen, or
Did
are
not
they saying
happen.
it did happen and then
I
Bane-
see people theorizing that it could still happen, but differently now. That like if Boba
Yeah.
Fett is challenging him for either challenging him for to steal the bounty of Omega and kill Cad Bane, or if Boba is teetering on like wanting to help Omega because she's his sister.
Right. So
that would be
so
another.
So that scene is obviously taking place during the Clone Wars. That's before Order 66. So that is kind of decanonized now. But I think that moment could still happen.
Yeah, and
maybe
it could also be
changed.
a way to bring
Again, Book of Boba Fett.
because
Go on.
another thing that I think is fascinating that could potentially happen here is that we know Boba and Fennec Shand are like best pals once
Tight.
Boba saves
yeah.
her life, but this
Right.
we don't know when they first met. So this could be an opportunity to be like, oh, here's Fennec Shand and Boba Fett like meeting each other for the first time. Do they hate each other at
Right.
first?
Definitely,
Which
yeah,
would
yeah.
fill out how that their relationship means what it means
But
to
then
us.
that I mean,
Because if he saves her
I don't
life,
want this show to be like a really
despite
like a,
wanting to kill her once, that could be an interesting dynamic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it could be kind of like a not a backdoor pilot, but just kind of like expand on the
Yeah, 100%.
Book of Boba
Like
Fett.
we're going to be learning more about their characters. In
Yeah, I
the
don't
Book
know
of
if they
Boba
thought
Fett,
it through
So
that much,
excited
though.
for that
Do you think they
show.
thought it through like that heavily? Like, oh,
Yes, because as we were talking about with
for Book
Levi,
of Boba Fett, I'm saying just leading into
yeah.
that or whatever.
Well, we're assuming Bad Batch has been like they've been producing it and animating it and doing it for like years now.
that's what I'm saying. So
So for that reason, maybe not because
Yeah.
Book of Boba Fett would have. Come...
yeah, I'm just wondering how much they'll continue because I think Boba still has room to be in the show, but I mean, obviously we
Yeah.
haven't seen him yet. But now I think there's
Because-
even more of a reason for him to be in the show. I mean, there's already the Fennec thing.
Yeah.
Just,
Well,
just
because
how
remember-
interesting it would
Oh,
be
the bid
with
for
him to
Tina
interact
Fey,
with the clones. That would, and Omega. That would just be like that'd be sick.
Like before Bad
Also-
Batch, we were theorizing like, oh,
Yeah,
are we
Bane,
gonna
yeah.
see Grogu like during Order 66? Clearly, we didn't. So like,
Yeah, yeah.
I don't think there's no reason to bring Grogu into it now.
yeah,
even
there
though
was no reason to bring.
we were like Disney and their little cash cow.
They
Grogu,
will.
They're
They
gonna
will
wanna...
do a full live action flashback to that one day.
Yeah, that's another. But they're quickly adding to the list of stories they need to tell now. Like we haven't gotten Luke and Ahsoka interacting. Luke and
Gee,
Ahsoka.
We never knew. We don't know
have
if
to
they
interact.
met. We
That's-
yes. That's
if the
that's a
story is
dream.
that Luke and Ahsoka literally never cross paths and
I
never get to talk to each
know,
other,
I know.
it's like, why would you make
Non-negotiable,
that
but
the
have to
story?
be.
I know. I feel your pain. Yeah, that has never been implied at all. So it's obviously everybody wants it, including
Yeah,
me. And
That's
like,
a story right there
I
waiting
think
to,
that
to
will
be told.
happen eventually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because we got,
So, I guess the only tease is because when Ahsoka in Mando season 2, she was kind of setting up. She was like, when they went to
people mostly want
what's
it so that,
what's that planet called? Tython.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That maybe a Jedi would answer the call.
That's
So maybe,
that's
so
about as
maybe she
close as
knew
we've
about
gotten.
Luke. That's about
Yeah.
it, though.
But the main thing people want is because they want Ahsoka to hear from Luke's mouth that Anakin came back.
Yeah.
That's the
Yeah,
that's what
I
we
just
want
wanna
to
see
see.
I think
them
they
together,
have
yeah.
to do that
That'd be
to us.
great.
That's the only way
Yeah.
to kind of complete the story, you know.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. No, I'm on board with that.
Yeah,
One-
I mean,
one
we did
day,
get
though,
we did
I-
get Twilight of the Apprentice and Rebels where like briefly he's like Ahsoka and she sees that he's there but then like she's ready to kill him if she needs to. Like she thinks he's gone.
Right.
Yeah. So
Well. Yeah.
yeah. Hey man, it's just
Kind of saved him too, I think. So
yeah.
later in Rebels, she like broke the ground.
Well, you got to think about when she came back, because she's been stuck in the world
Yep.
between worlds for
Yeah.
the entirety of the
Right.
OT. So I don't know. I don't really recall. I don't know if that's ever been explained how far after, or like when
Yeah.
she kind of gets out.
It
But
is
obviously, we'll get that in the Ahsoka show. But
I'm definitely
Probably.
confused thinking about how they're gonna do Mark Hamill moving. Like they got this beautiful Mark Hamill appearance in Mandalorian, and now people are like, oh, are we gonna get like a Grogu and Luke
Logu.
show?
no, I
You
If
could
they
do it
do-
animated
no, I know. I don't think it's gonna be animated. It's too big of a moment for it. to
because
be
I feel like
animated.
Grogu is actually like the
But-
character design is perfect for animation.
Yeah, but
But
I think
They can't keep it a little baby puppet forever. It's gonna have to evolve in some way. It's gonna have to get larger.
Grogu. Yeah, no, I was saying
He's
about
gonna
Luke.
have to.
You were talking
change
about
his
Luke for a
appearance.
second there. So Mark, yeah, the whole thing with Mark, they're gonna have to recast, and I think I think we all know who they're gonna recast if they're
There's
gonna
only
do it.
one
Stan.
choice.
So
Sebastian
I-
Stan.
I'm remembering your reaction, Johnny, on all the news
know,
channel.
I
You're like,
know, whatever,
it's
whatever.
Sebastian Stan.
Whatever, I don't-
I could see his face. And then you're like, oh no, it's not.
But isn't that weird that I thought that though? Because obviously he looks so close. It's just
Yeah, it did.
I
thought it was
I-
too.
Clones.
I
We
mean,
were
again, there
expecting it.
has been like little rumors of a Luke show, but it hasn't been too solid. But yeah, I think they're
I
gonna have to
frankly
recast.
don't know
it,
if
like,
I
with
need
people
that. I
and
feel like
stuff.
it would dilute the like overwhelming nature of that moment to sort of,
to have more.
I don't
Luke, you
know,
don't
make
want
it
more
so
Luke?
prosaic and make it
Mm.
like an episodic show. I don't know if that adds
Hey, we,
from what they did.
Good
What
point.
is this?
Levi's here.
Oh,
What's up,
hey,
buddy?
Levi.
What is
Hello.
this?
I've been having.
Levi, you missed the entire section where I defended your honor against John.
Yeah.
I am Team
Nice.
Levi in that argument.
Jasmine,
Technical
we need to get some toys or something behind you, some pop dolls or some
I
posters.
know,
or-
right? Yeah, I know.
Your
I'm
empty
working on it.
bookshelf is scaring me right
Levi,
now.
did you see my text?
I
One of
did,
the
but I've been
things-
having internet issues all morning, so
Oh no.
I was not able to respond. But it's all fixed now.
When you put John and
Uh,
Levi together, it's just you guys have legitimate nerd cred behind you, and
Yeah,
Jenny and
look
I
at
have
all of that.
artificial backgrounds.
I have a better
Yeah.
background. We're still working on this.
I'm
little
bringing
set
this
that we've
place
been doing.
down from the inside. I'm here.
Yeah.
I'm a spy. I'm investigating the TVA, and
Right.
I'm
Yeah,
gonna
I'll
gonna
catch myself up.
blow this shit up.
We're talking about Bad Batch now.
Johnny
Moved
was
on.
probably wrong. Jenny is probably right, and Cad Bane is cool.
Oh
You should
my
look at the
God.
playback later of the first few minutes. Like,
Has
Johnny's
Jasmine and
wrong.
Levi
Jenny's
met?
right. Cad
Has-
Bane is
Have Jasmine and Levi
Probably,
met?
that's probably
Yes.
yeah.
those we did
Yes.
meet.
Oh, you have. Okay, I wasn't sure.
yes.
Indeed.
Hey, you know what? If Dylan pops in here, I'll have an even number
I
again, and
know.
I can
Yeah, sorry
my
for
my
ruining your-
OCD. I can fix my OCD for the.
I don't. He said he was coming. I don't know what he's doing. Anyways, Where did we leave it? Oh yeah, we're talking about just kind of the whole thing with the Luke thing
Wait,
and
give me
whatnot.
1 second. Hang on.
Yeah,
All good.
yeah. Oh, you're gonna.
Um,
She's gonna get some Grogu dolls or something, and put it behind her.
Oh,
finally,
yeah,
We
she
can-
can throw something.
yeah. She can still hear us.
Get a lightsaber and bring it in.
Yeah, or just put on your Ahsoka Tano headdress.
Oh no, that takes too long to do.
It did. Oh, okay. Yeah, that would be great. If one of these days Jazz just shows up looking.
Just show
Yes.
up
Okay,
one
all right.
day.
There
I know
it
you're
is.
right. It was kind of.
Oh,
Isn't he?
I only.
Grogu!
I'm
He's so
ashamed to
cute.
admit
Those are
I don't
perfect
own
shells
any
for
Star
pop
Wars
figures.
toys. I only own books. I don't have like toys.
Did you
That
have the
makes
Millennium
Griffin has
Falcon?
big,
That's
Griffin has
cool.
Grogu. I gave Griffin Grogu, so I know he
Oh,
has
that's
one.
true. Okay, that's awesome.
Huge, right? I have a smaller one too. My best friend got me this one. It's the bigger one.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
I got one for Mike's son. He has Grogu for
So
sure.
yeah, Levi, I was talking about how Grogu like lends itself perfectly to animation, particularly because Grogu the character needs to evolve, like its appearance. It can't just stay baby Grogu forever. So if we get more Grogu, they're gonna have to either create a new animatronic that's older,
All right, I think Dylan's coming in, by the way, too.
or would you rather see Grogu in animation or have him change in live action to like a different look,
Are you
more like
asking-
the
In the context of seeing him young in Bad Batch, or seeing him like older later with like
older later, because we're not going to get him in Bad Batch. The only way that would have
I
happened
don't-
is
I
if
don't
we
think so
saw
either.
Order 66, which already
Didn't
passed.
Sorry.
We got
Also,
we got
don't know
Caleb
the
Doom
time
though.
scale though. Like he's already like 50 in the time of the Mandalorian. Like obviously these beings age super slowly. It could take like decades.
Well,
before
people
they
have
even
pointed
learn
out how
to talk.
Yoda
Yoda's
says
been
that he was
training
teaching
since
since he was
100.
100.
So there's a hell of a growth spurt between 50 and 100.
Yeah. Okay. So he
That's
has to
right.
be like a teenager or something
Well,
soon.
I don't really know if it is a growth spurt, but that's still like 50 years of time.
Teenager
That's not-
Grogu?
that's not
Teenage
insignificant.
Grogu.
Teenage Grogu
And the
in his
prom's
rebellious
tomorrow.
phase.
Be odd. Maybe weird.
I
I
think
What
animation.
does Levi think?
Yeah, I just think
Animation?
animation is the way to do it because that way you can change his appearance and not have it be some awkward like, ooh, Grogu's ugly now. Like I don't love him anymore because he's not
I
a
know,
cute
can
baby.
you
There are a lot
imagine
of surface level
happens?
Grogu fans that
Or
are
if
just
that
like, yay, baby Yoda! Like they got these dolls that they're selling, and it's an image that like it's gonna have to be altered / destroyed in order.
Yeah,
to-
nobody liked Teen Groot when Groot grew up.
Actually, you know what?
Everyone was
yes, I
liking
thinking
baby
the same
Groot.
thing With Groot,
And
everyone loved him.
I
and-
don't see Teen Groot
Yeah.
love
The
anymore.
only way you can do it is if you have a Baby Yoda or Grogu and Luke show in live action with Sebastian Stan, and like they keep the model the way it is.
And I think it's easier to do that in animation. So
yeah. I agree. I think
it
that's
is, but I want it in live action.
Economically,
Who doesn't?
like animation would probably make more sense for them.
Haven't they
but-
also announced though that they're working on like a Star Wars animated movie potentially?
multiple.
Yeah,
Yeah, there
I
you go.
thought so too.
Yeah.
I mean,
They just
what
take a
we have
long
we have a
time.
droid story, right? That's animated.
I mean, we gotta
that's gonna
think,
be a movie,
right? We gotta
Yeah.
think like Bad Batch. This episode was in production before the Mandalorian season 1 even came
Right.
out.
Mhm.
Like
Yeah.
it's a long timeline.
That's what I
Animation
was
timeline.
trying to say earlier.
Yeah, you,
That's it,
you know that, Mike. You've worked on animated stuff. Like it's a long ass pipeline.
Yeah.
So the stuff that I don't know, it'll
Let's
be a while, I
go.
think.
Dylan's
my-
here
my-
too.
The OCD washes away. I feel so much better now.
You know,
Okay.
I tried. I told him to. I told
it's
him to come
even.
in.
What's up,
He didn't want to
Dylan?
interrupt. Hold up, he's gonna
Oh.
set up.
What
His headphones are.
arrow.
Anyways,
Dylan,
yeah,
you're muted. There you are.
there he is. Can
No.
you-
doing today.
yeah,
Oh, there he is.
there he
Okay,
is.
good.
Sorry, I was watching you guys. I just didn't want to jump, just randomly
said-
jump in here.
No,
but John,
dude,
Johnny
always-
told me to hop in. So
Yes, always
Alright.
invited, always welcome. The more the merrier. I hope one of these days we can get like a fucking 9 square of getting
Yeah,
people in
yeah.
here.
A 9 square would be
Big
chaotic. though,
round
Mike.
table.
A little bit chaos.
That'd be a little bit
Anyway, that
chaotic.
was
I don't
that
know
was
if
the
you
first
wanna-
topic we were talking about with Loki. Is like the conversation that Mobius and Loki had about chaos, and like
Did,
everything is chaos.
Did Jenny point out that Renslayer, like freaking Richard Nixon, has the recording device going in her office while she's talking to Mobius?
I
Yeah.
actually I referred to that device in the context of it being yet another piece of analog equipment that
Yeah,
the TVA
reel-to-reel.
is like all like pre-digital technology, and if they have unlimited technology from the whole universe and eternity, why are they living in this like
But the fact
mid-century
it was recording,
analog?
she has it recording. Like it's so
Yeah.
sus.
It's so
Like,
sus.
The whole thing's, I
Yeah.
mean, we did, I don't want to like
Yeah,
reinvent
yeah.
the wheel of stuff we already talked about, but I was like 100%
No,
agree
I'm
with
on the team. I'm on the team.
everything you said in the discussion. Like I had very strong feelings about it. Like my big point was, I don't think Lady Loki or whoever she may be, I don't know everything about her yet, but whoever that character may be, I don't think she's a terrorist. I think she's a rebel. I think she's a freedom fighter.
Right there
And
with-
that by blowing up the timeline, I think she freed the slaves. I think she gave everyone their free will back. She
100%.
liberated the camps.
so
Speaking
hold
my
on,
language. Speaking
well,
my language.
Dylan, you're in the room. Thanks for joining us, buddy. Now that you're here, I want to actually like let you talk and hear something you have to say. So we
What do
we
you have to
definitely
say,
talked about
Dylan?
What I had to say.
What do you have to
Well-
say? What do you have to say for yourself?
beyond Cad Bane just being like obviously cool and we're excited to see him. The topic was like, oh, does this automatically imply that he's going to be appearing in Book of Boba Fett, or is there?
Well,
I want to hear your thoughts on it.
So I think people, me
Johnny.
included, have latched on to like, yes, we want to see that Boba scene where they have that standoff and he shoots him in the helmet. So whether that happens in Bad Batch, if we do get Boba in Bad Batch, I'm saying he's dying in Bad Batch. Like that's
Okay.
he's gone there.
I agree with
but-
you, Dylan. Yeah,
Yeah,
I don't
but
want
if we
Boba.
do, yeah,
I don't
yeah,
want that.
yeah, it would be a
Yeah.
little, put
bring him back and then kill him.
I think he's
Exactly
dead.
right.
I think he's dead by the OT
Yeah,
because
Yeah.
Boba
Oh.
is like the baddest of the bad by then.
he'd have to be 75 years
True.
old in Book
Yeah.
of Boba. and-
Everyone is like Boba Fett.
Well, he has
This is
rocket
the
boots.
guy.
He could have a little rocket wheelchair or like a little rocket
rocket
or
wheelchair. But,
Yeah.
like,
Johnny
I'm,
looks disappointed. He's like, no,
I'm
no,
just
no.
talking like thematically. Right now, Cad Bane is the baddest of the bad guy.
Oh,
How
yeah.
that- like,
Oh,
like,
yeah.
like, if how is Boba gonna get that reputation by taking out the baddest of the bad guy?
He would have been hired.
You're-
He would have been hired by
Like
the
that's
Empire.
like that's how, and that's how
that
it was
makes a
in-
lot of
Yeah.
sense, Levi.
and that's
That makes
how
a
it
lot of
was
sense.
in the Clone Wars, right? Like they have the gunfight, he gets the dent, Cad's dead.
So here's
On the-
here's the question I have though: is Boba trying to take Omega's bounty, and Boba's also bad from our perspective, or is Boba going to have feelings for Omega because she's his sister, and he's actually killing Cad Bane to help free her?
I think
Is
both.
which?
Well, I
Yeah,
don't
I mean,
okay.
think
we're halfway
Boba's
through
like
the
the
season right now.
badass that we know him as, like in the OT and stuff, because this is still relatively early Boba. So this is the kind of.
Oh, you mean that
cocky-
character that had like 2 lines and like 8 minutes or like 3 minutes of screen time, and then fell into the Sarlacc? And
No, I
everyone
just mean
thinks
how he's
awesome?
played in Clone Wars.
That guy? That cool guy?
Well,
You know
if
what I
you've
mean?
watched the deleted scene, the dialogue for Boba, in that sequence is actually pretty interesting because Boba is like, no more innocent people are gonna get hurt. Like we're not
Yeah,
doing this.
He has
like,
a conscience, which we
He's like
which
he
we
has like
see
a
in-
conscience, which we
in
see developing in Clone
Mandalorian.
Wars. So we know that. Well, he had Mandalorian, but
Conscience?
there's a period of time
No, I know.
of like 20 years where he does not have that anymore. Like he
Right.
loses that, just like how Rex loses his will to fight from now until Rebels. Something happens to this guy, and so he's got to get jaded again. And so I think we can still
Right.
see that Cad Bane fight maybe
Yeah.
after Bad Batch. I don't know if we necessarily need to see it in Bad Batch,
Something, yeah.
but
I
I
want
still
to
think
see
it
the
happens.
ending of Cad Bane's story.
Yeah.
I think where we're moving with Cad
I just want it to
Bane
be
is
in live
I
action. That's all.
think Cad Bane's gonna have some turbulence getting Omega to the Kaminoans, whether
Yeah.
that's Fennec or
Fennec
any of the
Shand.
other
Yeah, there you
bounty
go.
hunters that know about it, which could
Yeah.
open up Boba, which could I think it would be really cool if Boba finds Cad Bane and is like, whoa, wait, this is a clone. I guess he would know that from the Kaminoans unless like it was super classified, like they
Yeah.
don't even know what they're getting.
Yeah,
the-
that's an interaction
the
we'd love
bounty
to see,
hunters.
right? Like Boba and Omega like come face to face, and they're
Yeah.
like, "You're me."
There's so much
Yeah,
potential with
They'd be
Boba
able
in the
to-
show. Even
And
Yeah.
knowing
just Bad
Omega,
Batch
she
in
would be able to
general.
point it out. She'd be
Yeah.
like, you're a
Yeah,
clone.
she was on to
Like-
Rex right away. She knew everything about him.
Exactly.
Yeah,
right,
100%.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, you're right.
Generation One.
And then also, Cad
The
Bane
lie.
pointed out how smart she
The
was. He
launching
was like, "Oh, your little lady friend has it all figured out."
Yeah,
Like, she-
yeah.
So
He's a
even
bounty
Cad Bane
hunter.
was like, "Respect."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I just thought, I mean, you saw our reaction, but like it
Good
was
reaction.
so awesome. Just why not bring
cl-
Cad
good
Bane
clip.
back? And he looks so cool. Everything about it was awesome. He's got it. I forget the name of the droid.
Oh,
but
that new look was
Photo
sick.
360.
Total
Yes,
360,
yes.
yep.
Yeah,
Seth
Seth
I
Green.
blew him up though in season 2.
He did.
Had
Yeah.
another model, right?
Gets rebuilt
Gets rebuilt
Or-
multiple times.
or
Yeah.
just
and
yeah.
Hunter
And get-
shot his like leg off or something.
Shot his
My
leg off.
booster!
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
My booster. Yeah. Yeah. And then and Omega's about to shoot Cad Bane and he like just runs right into Omega.
Yeah. Oh man, because you know what, that scene with the Kaminoans where like they're like, all right, so like they already put Fennec Shand on the job, and they were basically like, we need to get Omega back. they were
Right.
implying we need to hire more another. But why would they hire just one when they can just like put the word
Exactly.
out? Yeah,
Yeah.
so like we should almost expect like Embo
Well, I was
and
thinking about it.
Boba and all these guys
You
to
think they're gonna go deep
Bosk.
in this show?
No, I don't know. I think I was thinking
I
about
don't
it
know.
last night. I think
Well,
it was
he's
a
saying that he's
situation-
going to experience
the
turbulence.
Kaminoans. I think that might be true. We'll get to that. But I think the Kaminoans, they're a frugal lot. They're not, they're historically pretty scummy with the money and their business practices.
Scummy
So
with the
they're-
money.
So they're like, they'll use an analogy of like, you want to drive from New York to Boston. You want to you don't have a car. You get a rental car. You don't buy the Lamborghini. You don't get a Lamborghini to drive that distance. You get the
Yeah, speak for yourself.
you get the rent. You get a newish, it's financeable rent a car. So Nala Say gets the new kid on the scene, Fennec Shan, and like they're not busting out. But when it's going wrong and the Empire's like, we're gonna go kill everybody, you gotta, or in this instance, when your car breaks down, maybe you splurge for the high class, Lamborghini, Cad Bane. Like this guy is the top of the
I like
top.
this
You don't
analogy.
Yeah.
you don't go straight for the top. You don't shell out top dollar
Right.
for the first time.
Well,
Yeah.
do you think I could
guess
see
that makes
bounty hunters
sense.
catching on and
That was
being
a
like,
good one,
Cad Bane
Levi.
has this kid
Thank
that the
you.
Kaminoans want.
Welcome.
And so even without being hired by the Kaminoans, I could see them just going after Cad Bane, trying to kill him, trying to take Omega, and then getting their payment just even without being hired.
I think Fennec. I don't think
Fennec,
we
Fennec,
get Fennec. Yeah.
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 I'm
We
just
didn't
saying
even
there-
talk about this at all. Oh, go ahead, Dylan.
I was just ending it like there is potential for other bounty hunters like Boba,
Yeah.
for example, to pop up there.
We didn't even talk about it, but Crosshair got
I
effed up.
know.
He got cooked.
Got
yeah,
Dengar.
got fried.
See that?
He was
Oh,
like
yeah.
staring
Crazy.
straight into like a space shuttle engine. Just
Just,
like,
Oh,
just a
he did
just
not
a
look good at the
engine
end
to
there.
the face.
I'm
yeah.
surprised he looked as good as he did. You'd
Yeah,
think
so
he'd
I
be,
wonder
like,
if
He
he's
didn't
gonna
look
get
that
like a
good.
helmet change too, because I feel like if it's, I feel
Another
like he
toy.
might, because he had the breather on
Another
at the
toy
end of the
for your
episode,
collection.
so-
You're right.
Oh,
Yeah.
No, another custom helmet. Yeah.
I mean, his eye too is wrapped.
Yeah, he
up.
might get
And
like an
his
eye
eye,
patch.
yeah.
An
I don't
eye
know what's
patch would
gonna
be
happen.
cool.
He uses his
gonna-
right eye and his left eye was wrapped up, so maybe
Yeah.
he'll be fine.
Oh.
Yeah.
At least.
No, his yeah.
He's
his
gonna
right
be
eye was
extra
open.
pissed off now, though. That's
Oh
for
no,
sure.
for sure. Yeah, yeah.
He seemed so
And,
mad. He seemed like extra mad. Like at the end, where he
Oh,
was
yeah.
like, "Go
That's
get
not
them."
quite the battle scar. That's what the last episode was called, right?
Mm.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah,
that's
battle
weird.
scars.
Definitely,
Yeah.
He's
King of
definitely
Cards,
That's
117, asks, would Aura Singh still be around at this point?
I would
Presumably,
love to see Aura.
presumably
I think
so. We
so.
know that Beckett kills her
Tobias Beckett kills her. Yeah.
sometimes. Well, the Fall killed her
Right.
sometime between now and
Oh,
Solo.
Aura Singh would be cool in the show.
But she could be around.
Actually, even Tobias Beckett and like his crew, like you could do animated versions of them and have fun with that. You could like that wouldn't be too.
Yeah.
Star Wars has proved that they're not scared to just bring all these characters together.
no, they're
you know?
frightened.
Like,
They're
yeah.
frightened of it.
They're not,
Horrified.
right. They're not scared to do quote unquote fan service or make the galaxy feel smaller, and they always make it work, in my opinion. Like
Yeah.
some people have argued, like Mando feels too small in scope.
See, like
because-
Cad Bane works good into the story because we were talking earlier about the whole Grogu thing in Bad Batch. Like that just wouldn't have worked into the story. So it just makes sense. And also,
Yeah.
like Mando season 2 did it like probably pretty much perfectly with integrating.
You know what? I
characters.
feel like the whole like the
So,
Star Wars galaxy
uh,
feeling small concept is actually like it's not necessary because like we know the galaxy is like half undiscovered. Like an entire half of the galaxy isn't even on the map, and then there's like specific hyperspace lanes and specific planets that have like specific ports where starships go to. So like the idea
That's
that you
true.
like bump into somebody on another
it's
planet isn't
it's like the U.S.
out
There's
of-
a lot there in the middle, but there's not a lot going on.
Right.
Like you can go through
I
there,
just
but
drove
like
through it.
not a lot
Not
going on.
Right.
Not
And
a
also,
it's the
lot.
kind
like-
of galaxy where you can say they're on Dantooine,
Much
and you don't
different.
need to be like, "Where's that?" It's like
Right.
people know where planets are because there's only so many colonized planets.
And like they're still telling stories here, like Star Wars is about these characters. And sure, they're always going to be introducing new characters like Mando, but it's like it brings them into our story or the overarching story when they interact with these characters that we already love.
yeah. And Mando
Right
season
you
2
are.
proved that you can, as long as the story makes sense, like you can do it as many times as you want, and it's gonna make sense if it's for the story and not just for the sake of bringing the character. in.
Exactly. Right.
Yeah. Anyway, Levi and Dylan, we were talking about it before you came here, but we were talking specifically about how since we know Fennec Shand and Boba Fett are like, right and left, she's his right hand man essentially. In that last scene in Mando season 2, that if young Boba Fett and young Fennec Shand have the opportunity to meet each other,
Oh, I
and
think they do.
have an interaction here, because they could establish like they hate
I think they know each other.
But
I don't
they-
think they hate
because-
each other.
Know each other
Well,
already.
I would love that though, because if they hate each other, then like the idea of him rescuing her in the desert in Mando and bringing her back to life and being like, fate steps in to rescue the wretched, he says. So
Yeah,
like
and that's
That's
something I
true,
think we'll
yeah.
definitely get.
Feel a lot of weight.
fate
in
rescued
Book of
him
Boba
from the
Fett.
Sarlacc, so he went from hating Fennec
Regardless,
Shand
too.
to
I'm trying to think if there's
being
any
her
lines
savior.
that made it seem like that was the first time they met.
No,
in
I assumed they had
Mando.
known each other for a while.
yeah.
Right.
If Din Djarin knew who she was by name, then
True,
Then
Boba
he
Fett
yes.
would have
knows.
potentially
Especially if
Right.
especially if they're both on Tatooine.
Especially if we're gonna go with the Boba like deep in the underworld stuff like this early on, then yeah, he should know
Boba!
who Fennec is at least.
Wow! Wow!
Hit it with the
Wow.
bow.
Wow.
Jet
Wow.
ski. Oh, I don't know if you talked about this, but Mobius is definitely like a variant that was taken from the 90s and is having like his repressed 90s memories coming
Oh, yeah.
back.
We did. I agree with you. And I
Totally
think-
what's happening.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
there was the
For
Get Out
sure.
scene with
Right.
we talked about it, but like the scene with C-20 where she was like, "It's
Yeah,
real."
she's like, it's real. It's like her life is real.
And my
It's not
thing
just
is-
dreams.
Yeah, right.
Like, although I think the TVA is shady, I agree that I think these are variants whose timelines have been pruned, and if it is like a Westworld scenario, all you need is enough of them to wake up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Levi
So
and Dylan, did you
major
guys notice how
revolt against
similar that
their own
is to the Norm guy waking up in
In
WandaVision,
WandaVision,
where
Oh,
all of a
yes.
sudden they come out of the haze and they'd see
It's the-
reality
it's
and
the Get
remember
Out
what
scene.
their
It's the
life
Get
is.
Out
Yeah.
scene.
Well,
Yeah,
it
the
reminds
Get
me
Out
a lot
moment.
of Casey. Casey and Norm kind of remind me.
Oh, yeah.
Casey, poor
Oh,
Casey.
I want to know where
Oh,
Casey's
shit.
life was
Oh,
like.
God.
Maybe they took Casey from Sorgan.
Maybe he was
Yeah.
a fisherman.
Maybe he really is just for the same one from Mando.
Jenny,
Maybe
did you
it's a
notice
Good
that
Place
Casey,
crossover, and he's the dude from Jacksonville, Florida.
when Loki was drowning Mobius's salad, he was using a Boku. Do you remember those? Those were from the 90s.
Absolutely.
They don't
He
have
doesn't
those
have
anymore.
that,
Yeah.
like Levi's
Didn't-
right. He has this 90s affinity with the jet skis and the soda and the form and function. 100% think he was a dude in the 90s.
Well,
That
that
was
was Casey's
Memories are
drink.
still in there. That is Get Out. That is super, super dark.
Yeah.
And I
Richard,
think
was that the Richard
free-
Lewis juice?
Free the Minutemen.
The Richard Lewis juice. Yes, I think it was. Was that Boku? Did Richard Lewis do the advertisements for?
Did he?
Don't you remember how he had? I think it was Boku, Levi. I think you're right.
I think it is.
I
You'll
do
have to
not
look it
remember
up.
this, but I trust you.
I think there was a joke about it in Curb Your Enthusiasm, and I
Yeah.
remember it.
I think
I
that's
know, they-
amazing that Levi knows this. Like you're just a
Yeah,
puppy.
isn't it?
How do you-
Yeah.
Well, like
how
I
do you know
said,
this?
I
Were
was
you
joking
alive?
Curb Your Enthusiasm. No, I was not alive, but I watched Curb Your Enthusiasm and Richard Lewis.
Yeah, like
brought
last
that
week,
show.
Johnny was like, "You loved Seinfeld, right?" You said, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, I feel like
that's-
that went off the
Seinfeld
air
rules.
before you were
Seinfeld.
born.
Seinfeld rules.
I watched that as a kid,
But
like young.
Seinfeld's great.
In
man.
reruns
I
already.
used to
Like,
laugh at like
When
the-
you were like
theme.
breastfeeding and you were like watching it in the background.
No. Yeah, I was breastfeeding. Yes, it was me.
Didn't it go up? Didn't Seinfeld stop in like early 2000s?
Yeah, but there's
Yeah,
reruns,
reruns, man.
There's reruns,
Yeah.
man. Come on, Mike.
Come
I know, but-
on.
like, how do you even know who Richard Lewis is, Levi? He hasn't even been in anything
don't
in
even
like
know who that is.
25
Maybe I
years.
do.
Yeah,
Curb
what
Your
happened to him?
Enthusiasm. I feel like
Oh, okay,
my,
yeah,
I
yeah,
keep
that's
telling
true.
you, like Curb Your Enthusiasm is the logical extension of Seinfeld, and he's all over that show. You know, it's
I don't
Yeah,
know
yeah.
Richard.
I
Lewis.
love him as
He's
the
in Curb.
the sheriff of Nottingham in,
The Sheriff
in
of
Prince
Rottingham.
Sheriff of Rottingham in Prince of
Yes.
Thieves. Oh wait, no, he's not the sheriff of Rottingham. He plays Prince John, right?
Oh, you're
Or
right. You're
yeah.
right.
love
The
Mel-
sheriff
love
of
Mel
Rottingham
Brooks.
is the guy from the George C. Scott whatchamacallit, the Christmas Carol.
Christmas Carol. Is it David Warner? Who is it?
No,
I can't
no, no.
remember.
It's
I'll be right
His-
back.
his-
I literally can't
his
remember who it
nephew or
is.
whoever he goes to play the game with in Christmas Carol.
Oh, Roger Reeves.
Roger Reeves. there
Oh,
you go.
bless him.
Have you not
R.I.P.
seen Curb
Roger
Your
Reeves. He
Enthusiasm?
died.
I have seen Curb Your Enthusiasm, or some episodes. Yeah,
so funny.
Yeah. It's so good.
it's
I mean,
so awkward.
Larry
It's
David.
excruciating to watch sometimes, where you just feel
Oh, I
Yeah.
love it.
so
I love it
cringy
so
at
much. But
times.
yeah, Richard Lewis just plays himself in that show, and I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure Larry David makes fun of him for the Boku thing.
That's
I've never
exactly-
seen a show better at like just like
How-
overarching jokes, you know, that
How did
span
we
like
end
the
up
whole
talking
show
about
or
this? This
season.
is
What's the deal? yeah.
What's
I'm
the
like-
deal
what's the
With Loki.
deal?
What's
with
the
the
deal?
TVA?
No.
Hey,
Wow.
I cannot
Wow.
wait for the TVA to be exposed.
That's
Yeah.
right. Me
I want to
either.
see it.
Yeah.
We need justice for all these variants.
But then, like when we see like is it B15 or B50?
There's
B15.
B15.
Okay, B15. Like when we see her waking up and she's terrified and she saw reality too for a second.
Yeah.
Then we can
Right.
assume that like the TVA doesn't necessarily include its employees. Like if they're under a spell, for instance, or they're unaware of like who they're
They've
really
been
working
brainwashed.
for. Yeah, yeah.
Literally.
So really, like the TVA isn't necessarily sus. It's like whoever the man behind the
Right.
curtain is.
Yeah.
Well,
It's
so
like a Hydra situation. It's a
The
corrupt
Kang
corporation.
character. Yeah.
I haven't really got to talk to you guys about it, but or Mike and Jenny. But so do you guys think that whoever's on top of the TVA, do you think what they think they're doing is good? Or do you think they're just like bad, evil, doing it for
I think
greedy
they're Big
reasons?
Brother. I think that this is
Yeah.
like a fascist, this is a totalitarian state, like all the things that it's clearly based on, like Brazil in 1984 and Metropolis. This is a power-hungry person maintaining control by
It's sort of similar to Ego in Guardians of the
eliminating-
Galaxy 2.
Yeah.
Like
Right.
Ego doesn't think he's a bad guy. He thinks he's been
Yeah, the
doing
other
it-
on our stream, I was like, Renslayer seems to. I think she's going to be like the main villain of the back half of the show here before
Oh.
they reveal like.
Well,
you know, a
maybe,
big
I don't
bad.
know. I don't have an opinion about that one yet. I think she knows more than she's told anyone. She knows more than Mobius. She knows
Definitely.
more than anybody else.
Right.
I'm not sure yet if I think she's evil, if she's the big bad, or if she herself is
She
like.
I don't
knows
think
there's
she's.
some
I don't think
corruption
she's.
for
controlled,
sure. Yeah.
threatened.
I don't
in
think
some
I don't
way.
think she's the big bad. I just think she will be our villain for the back half of the show.
Yeah, it's
'Cause I think
possible.
because I think
Wow.
Mobius
Yeah.
is going to side with Loki.
Yep.
And she is like Mobius. If you mess this up, I'm gonna get you.
Mhm.
And so
It
Mobius
showed
is
her
gonna side with Loki.
when she ran out of her
gonna
office, she
scream.
grabbed the little like the stick they used to
That-
disintegrate people. So
Correct.
I
like
think.
that shows that she's not afraid to get her hands dirty and like kill some people.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What
Yeah, I don't know.
the
I can
significance
just
of
oh keep going. Sorry.
I was wondering what the significance was of the rings that Mobius left on the counter because he never puts his cup on the.
I think that implied that there are other Mobiuses, that he's not the only one, because he kept
Right.
referring
Oh,
to
true. I
like
forgot
her
about that.
her alternate analyst. He kept asking, "Oh, who's this other analyst you've got working for?" I think
Yeah,
it's
that's
because
something interesting because I don't have a
the
lot of
rings were
evidence
there
yet.
because like, oh, he was there at another time
I
and he
think- I
doesn't
think-
even
I
remember
think
it.
I don't
mixing.
have a lot of evidence yet, but I think that like there's before the end of the show, we're probably gonna have a robot that doesn't know they're a robot. I keep coming back to that line. in
Westworld.
Exactly, and we've got
think
this
that's-
Westworld thing going on with people's repressed memories coming back.
Yeah.
So
think
I'm
that's
like,
why they
one
set that
of
up
these
with Loki at
folks
the
is a
beginning?
robot that doesn't know they're a robot. That line keeps sticking in my head.
Mike,
Yeah.
Right.
there is
Yeah.
definitely substance to the theory that, or not even theory. She says that she has other analysts working. He recognizes that there's something there to that. But specifically with the rings, I feel like that was just a joke because she said you put them there. You know, like that was just. I feel like a Michael Waldron. The show is really heavily written. There's a lot of writing, a lot of dialogue.
Yeah.
And so it's sometimes you can mix and match the like actual plot details and just the comedy
Yeah.
bits. And
I think
that was
I
just
think it's a
comedy
part
bit.
that raises an eyebrow though.
He also
know.
said that time doesn't work normally in the TVA. So for all you know, like
Right.
he
That's
hasn't put the
also
rings
true.
there yet, but the rings exist already. Even like
Yeah,
Because-
that's a, you know,
Good.
I was
time
thinking
can
about
go
this
multiple
this
directions
week.
in the
Do
TVA.
that.
Yeah.
They had that conversation
Too
when they were
complicated.
going to Alabama, and they know it's going to be a level 10 apocalypse.
Yeah.
And which, for comparison, if you looked at the Asgard file, like the destruction of an entire planet, the annihilation of an entire people was level 7. So level 10
That's true.
apocalypse is, we don't even have words for it, but they're on their way. And Loki said, like, if you already know this is going to happen, why don't you just go back like further and stop it? And the explanation that Owen Wilson gave, which I get, was like, well, when there are variations, it makes the timeline unstable. And so we can't like.
That's what he's been
control.
told.
I'm like, okay, but that's
Right.
what he's been told by the TVA, which we know, like, basically for a fact is lying about everything. But I kept thinking about, there's a scene in the book Slaughterhouse-Five by Kurt Vonnegut, which we talked about a couple weeks back.
Read it.
The main character is kidnapped by this race called the Tralfamadorians, who are like beings of the cosmic
And
ether
I-
that inhabit the fourth dimension, which is time. And for them, all times exist at the same time, the way that it does at the TVA, like the past, present, and future, all are happening all the time, all at once. So the TVA is similar in that way. And they explain to the main character, the Tralfamadorians say, well, we already know how the universe ends. It's actually our fault. We were testing a new type of fuel and a test pilot pushes a button and the whole universe disappears. And so the main character says, well, if you already know that that's going to happen, why doesn't somebody just tell that test pilot, don't push the button, don't do it? And they say, I will never forget this. It's emblazoned in my mind. They say, he has always pushed it and he always will.
Mm-hmm.
We have always let him and we always will. The moment is structured that way. That's like chills radiating through my body. This idea that there's this like immutable reality that you don't have any choice over, but that's what the TVA wants people to believe. So I think they're telling you it's this world where the moment is structured that way. And this Lady Loki character, whoever she may be,
It's
is
Lady Loki.
literally blowing up their spot.
Yes.
Did you guys see
know?
the list of the places where she sent all of those time bombs? Like if you look at this
There's like
closet,
Sakar, Ego,
Yeah.
Asgard.
all
different
places we've seen
planets
before.
and-
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything
Titan.
significant to that though.
Titan. You don't?
I
It's-
think we're going, man.
Yeah, we're going to all
We're
those
going.
places.
Yeah, there
like,
was
we'll
that
see
bit in the
those places.
trailer where they're on like another planet.
Actually, you know
together.
what just
There's
occurred
a
to me?
bunch of-
Because
there's a bunch of ones.
I know this is Loki's show, but Loki is Thor's brother. Is there a point at which Chris Hemsworth might make an appearance in the next few
No,
episodes?
I don't think
We
so. I
did
think
see him in the video of Loki's
It's like a
life.
thing of us wanting like Chris Evans and Falcon and Winter Soldier. I don't think they're gonna do
I
that.
didn't want that.
Well,
but-
because
Yeah,
like
well, a lot of people, right? I didn't.
they
either, but
might
a lot of people did.
because if they're hanging out in Armageddon, it's like they might go to Ragnarok again. We might see
Yeah,
some of
I
those
mean,
events.
oh, yeah, I
you know.
forgot.
Well,
There's
Loki
about
asked for
Ragnarok,
that. I
too.
feel like they like checked that by Loki being like,
Yeah.
"Take me to Ragnarok," and Owen Wilson's like, "Yeah, nice try," and then they went to Alabama instead. They did like name
lame.
check it.
I don't
Alabama.
think so
What?
about Thor. By the way.
Oh.
Yeah, no,
Oh,
it's not necessary,
really?
but
It's not
Yeah.
necessary. So I
because
think it'd
one,
be
one of
It's
the
not
things
his
they
show, it's Loki's
yeah,
show.
it's true,
Yeah.
and also because Jenny, you pointed out how like we've had 10 years with the character of
Right.
Loki and Tom Hiddleston, and he already had a character arc. So like now that he has a show, this needs to be a brand new character arc.
Yeah,
that is-
exactly.
yeah.
yeah, we
Exactly.
can't retread what we've already done.
And I
Yeah.
love this dynamic they are setting up. Jasmine mentioned that like they had, that you were saying you really like the dynamic between the two of them. And I do too. I find them intellectually very well matched. They know how to
Right.
push each other's buttons, but they're not easily thrown off their game by each other. They're good partners. And
Almost
there
like
is this
they're
aspect
the
beyond
same.
like all the shady stuff and all the chaotic stuff that's
Pedophilia.
going on. There is this buddy cop aspect that is really appealing because they do have a good on-screen chemistry, a good on-screen dynamic. The witty banter is great. They're obviously like a good team, and it seems from the scene in the library like Loki might actually be kind of good at this. He might actually kind of enjoy this sort of research and proving how smart he is by figuring out problems. And I think that an aspect of his character development has to be letting go of the like, I'm a god, and then just learning to be a guy with a job,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
So it's
true.
a very humbling experience for him, right? It's the first time where he's not like this all-powerful being, right, inside the TVA. So I
Yeah.
think kind of having to adjust how like what he's used to, right?
Right.
Yeah.
That's what like first breaks him pretty much. Like seeing the Infinity
The
Stones. is,
Infinity
like,
Stones,
the
yeah,
most
yeah,
powerful
definitely.
power in the world.
Exactly.
And whether it actually is or it's just illusion, but
Yeah.
And Mike commented during a reaction that you were a little frustrated that his motivations remain unclear to us at this moment. Like, is he trying to take over the TVA and be the god of time? Or
Yeah.
is he trying to do right? And I said, I think at this point, his motivations are unclear to himself.
Yeah.
He's at a
Yeah.
moment of
Yeah,
like,
like I also mentioned, though,
turmoil.
we don't need to get to the finish line of this story at the end
Right.
of this particular
Right.
season. So, like, we may not even know his motivations at the end of this.
Right.
We may still be
I
like,
mean,
oh,
it's Loki, we're
He's still
talking about-
working it
yeah,
out. He's-
mischievous at his
again, it
core,
took Tom
so-
Hiddleston 10 years, or not him, it took Marvel 10 years and to do that character development with Loki the first time. It doesn't have to happen. And it is a bit accelerated for the sake of the television format. Like just seeing the film of himself was a fast forward of emotional arc for him.
yeah.
But it doesn't
Right.
mean that he's at the finish line. It doesn't mean that he gets there all at once. And I think he still has growth to do to give up this idea of I'm going to be a god, I'm going to be a baddie, I'm going to subjugate my people and be in charge of everything. And then just learn to inhabit a different space in the universe than the one
So-
he
right.
planned
Do you
for
think
himself.
Too, like he could be. Why don't you want to be more than that? Like, why do you only want to rule and be king? Like, why don't you want to be more? I think there's some truth to that, right? Loki has never kind of fit into that category necessarily. He's always been this in between kind of character.
Right. Yeah,
So-
Loki's
so-
not good at it either. I mean, Mobius points out it's like you always lose, man. Like you are never you're never victorious throughout what you've done. So
Do you think some of those other Loki variants that they gave us briefly, like the Hulk Loki
Tour
or
de
the
France Loki.
soccer player Loki or whatever?
yeah,
Did
Tour de
we-
France. It was the Tour
Are
de
we gonna
France.
run it?
Tour
Are
de
we gonna
France,
see
yeah.
other Loki variants besides?
I
Yeah.
hope so. I think
all the
that would be
Lokis
fun.
team up. That'd be sweet.
I mean,
This was something
the
that
chat
actually
Oh, wow,
caught me
yeah.
off guard. Like
Lokiverse.
this
A
was one of the
Lokiverse.
reasons I think I found the Lady Loki reveal in and of itself quite underwhelming, was because I didn't buy it. I mean, first of all, because we had predicted it. We were expecting it to be her.
Yeah, but like
But
she's
having
not.
seen
she's
all
a
those
brand new
other
character,
variants,
too,
which
so
were
she's
very clearly visually versions of Tom Hiddleston, I'm like, I don't mind that it's a different gender. That fits in with what we know they're doing with the gender fluidity. But she looks nothing like him.
Yeah,
Like visually,
that's
she has nothing
also
to
why I
do
don't
with
think
Tom
it's Lady
Hiddleston.
Loki.
Yeah,
Or
that's why
It
she's
is,
the
though.
Enchantress. She's
It's got to be
Sylvie.
Loki.
not.
She
And
has
I
the
was
same
thinking
powers.
of like
No.
Orphan
She also
Black.
specifically
Avengers
said,
and
"Don't
Avengers
call me
too.
that." When
I
he
can
called
debunk
her,
this. I can debunk this
Oh
right
yes, right.
now. I
Debunk.
can debunk
All
this
right,
right now.
what?
So
What are you
the
gonna
whole
do?
Enchantress thing started in this is just a case of the MCU running us fans around, because the MCU does this all the time. This started
Okay.
because in the foreign credits, in the translated credits, she
No,
was credited as
no,
Sylvie,
I'll debunk you. No.
and everyone was like, and everyone,
debunk your
yeah, and
debunking.
everyone was like, oh, Sylvie, that's the Enchantress. Spoiler, Enchantress. But
Debunking.
in the
debunk.
actual episode, in episode 2, you can see this variant's file, and it says Sylvie, but then the last name is like Lafreniere or whatever. And you know how he's like, yeah,
Also,
which
last-
is
Right.
which is just the daughter version of Loki.
Lofi's son. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Right.
Loki's son. So it's the female version.
go ahead, Jasmine.
And
Oh,
they're
no,
just
no,
and what they're
completely clear.
doing, what the MCU is doing, is just making the character like Enchantress. She might take the name Enchantress. I have no idea, but they're just
I
merging
would
the
say so.
characters. Like,
That's
it's
what I
not- it's
suggested. I
not
said
the
I think you're
Enchantress.
conflating two characters from the comics into one character with special
Okay.
abilities.
All right. So maybe we
It's
are on
still
the same
it's still a
page.
variant Loki though. Like it is still very much a variant of Loki.
Right.
And that's I
Oh,
think that's why I was
that's the part
underwhelmed,
I
because
don't
I didn't see
know.
the connection. And I was thinking of like Orphan Black, where Tatiana Maslany played like literally 35 different characters that were clones, and one of them was a trans man. And because
She's
of the
playing
nature
She-Hulk,
of the
right?
show, she played that character as well. I'm not saying that they should dress Tom Hiddleston in cheap drag. I don't want to see that. That doesn't do anything
look
for
good.
anybody. But
A
I
lot of
was
people wanna
confused
see that.
Yeah, he looked good.
I couldn't see the continuity between those two people beyond the costume she was wearing,
I
which
see.
I don't know. I just was kind of like, oh,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
I
Okay.
don't mind though. It's about the way the actor embodies the character, and so far, well, I guess she hasn't, but all the other actors who've
Yeah.
embodied
Yeah.
her
The writing's been
pretending
there.
to be
Yeah.
Loki, the writing has been there, so I trust that it's gonna be okay.
I'm just really excited to see like exactly what her motives here are, because I'm totally on board with TVA bad, but I don't know if Lady Loki's intentions are going to be fully good either. I mean,
I
it's
think
Loki
she's
we're
Loki.
talking about.
She's an anti.
Yeah, I think maybe it'll be a means to an end, freeing all the timelines or whatever it is.
right.
But I don't think I'm going to be fully on board with the way she does certain things. And maybe that's part of Loki's struggle that we'll
Maybe
see. Like
at
I
the
wonder-
same time, I saw, you guys were having a conversation, and Lavelle was saying during your discussion, oh, but she's killed people. And I was like, well, yeah, so did Crazy Horse. The violence of resistance is not the same as the violence of oppression.
it's true.
That's
yeah.
what I was
And
saying.
if
I
there's
was
a
like, TVA,
slave
you a bunch of
uprising
evil fools.
and a foreman dies in the struggle, that doesn't mean that the slaves are the moral equivalent of the slave masters. The
That's what I
slave
said to
masters are
Lavelle.
still the bad
I was like,
guys.
TVA,
100%,
they basically they're equivalent to like time Nazis. Who,
Yes, they
like,
are.
what?
They're time Nazis.
Come
That
on.
is
And I mean, they're just going around
100%.
pruning everyone,
Yeah,
There was
and
actually,
They're
I
killing
was going to
everybody.
say there was a couple things in their fight, Loki and Sylvie, that didn't, or like not that it necessarily didn't make sense. One was that she was inhabiting other people's bodies, and like those people that she was inhabiting were having no problem kicking Loki's ass. Loki is supposed to have like super strength, right? And he's not
Yeah.
in the TVA anymore. He's in Alabama. So wouldn't he still have
He does
super strength?
super strength.
Loki has super strength, but not as much as like
Does
some
he?
like Hulk,
Captain
but
America.
Or whatever. Yeah.
I mean,
he's
he's a
supposed to
god,
have
yeah.
he's supposed to have like
He's a
extra
god.
strength.
Yeah.
Anyway, how was like
tossing
the
him around.
Billy Bob in the Walmart or whatever able to kick Loki's butt if Sylvie isn't like controlling him from, because she was doing her little bombs off to the
Right.
side whilst
Yeah.
this guy was fighting Loki and having no problem kicking Loki's butt. I thought that was a little weird. And then
Yeah, I thought that was weird
also
too.
Loki, I saw Jasmine, I saw you in your reaction. You're like, he has the Force now. Like he did telekinesis. He like
Yeah.
pulled a
I've never
Roomba
seen
from
him
across
do that
the.
before.
No one has. Like, since when can Loki do that? When can Loki?
Well, and the
Yeah.
possessing people was a new body hopping or possessing people or whatever we're calling that. That's a new trick. There's a lot that we don't. There's so
I
much
thought
we don't
Ebony
know
Maw.
about
Is
this
it Ebony
character and
Maw?
her
Is that his
abilities.
name?
Yeah.
I thought
Lady
Ebony
Loki
Maw.
is
Ebony
definitely
Maw
the
was the only
superior
character where you could
Loki.
see that could actually do like telekinesis with like
He's got
Yeah.
like big time.
the Force,
But
basically.
Johnny, I want to know why you don't think it's a variant of Loki.
Because it's not.
It's just not. I don't know. I like they look completely different, and
is,
like
it
I
But like,
think
how can you dispute
we
the
s-
Lofedir thing?
Well, they
we
have the same
saw-
name essentially, right? So
Yeah,
we
they have the-
saw all the like the different variant Lokis, and they're all like I don't know some weird version of Tom Hiddleston.
We need to see another episode. We need
So,
to. He,
Yeah,
It's
we
like-
need more info.
More.
And, just,
yeah.
and on
the
top of that,
info was in the
Enchantress
second
thing.
episode. Her name is Sylvie Loafdottir. Like,
yeah,
isn't that like
unless for some reason
the
that
name.
file's wrong, and we know the TVA is all-
Right. So I don't know.
I
I
think
think
you're
that's
going-
a-
I
that's
think
a-
you're going
that
too
supports
deep into
me
that.
more than you,
Wait,
man.
What?
That part of it supports what I'm saying more than it supports what you're
The
saying.
fact that she has the same name as Loki?
She
No.
doesn't have the same name as Loki.
She
Yeah,
does.
Laufey son and Laufey daughter are the
They're
same
the
last
same
name.
thing. They're the
In
same last name.
Scandinavia, if you're a son, you get. If you're
It's
a boy, you get
Stan.
son,
And if you're
and
a
your
daughter, you get
father's
Tyr.
Okay.
name, and if you're a girl, you
Okay.
get daughter.
Do you
and your
guys know
father's name.
Enchantress in the
Three.
comics?
Oh.
But
Okay.
You guys know
Enchantress
in-
in the,
Oh,
in
you guys
the
got me
comics,
thinking.
Enchantress in the comics is
it's like Sif. It's like Sif's body, and then like Loki
is
tries to possess.
is Thor and Loki's sister. By the way,
Enchantress.
if I'm not mistaken.
I thought Enchantress was like I somehow Sif plays a role. It's correct me in this like late they want someone. I think it's one of Loki is trying to and like oh that's what Lady Loki is. I'm sorry, that's not Enchantress. Trying to possess Lady
Yeah.
Sif's body and then get stuck in Lady Sif's body, and that's the whole thing. But then
Like, I could be wrong. Hold on, let me double.
I feel like
check.
Loki creates Enchantress. I thought.
Her. Oh.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
It is true that we need another
Hold up.
episode just because
Oh, I might be wrong. I might be wrong about that.
A
Hold
weird
on.
switch up to just be like I'm not Loki. I would just want to understand why they would even like set that up.
I
Like,
feel
that'd
like
just be
Yeah,
it'd
I
be a
agree.
weird reveal just to be like, oh, I'm actually not you, and it's like, okay.
Yeah, and the TVA, like I know we don't trust the TVA, but Mobius is like the variant we're hunting is you. Like that's the pull of the show. You know,
Yeah,
they
why
have
else
like
would
they
they
have
need
the
Loki,
variant
you know?
energy.
Like,
yeah, it's
yeah.
like I feel like as a variant of him.
Yeah,
It's-
I'm not questioning that she is the Loki variant. I'm just quibbling with the production, I guess, with the presentation because I found it underwhelming. I think she is the variant Loki, but I found it underwhelming and confusing.
Yeah.
Understand.
Visually at the very
Wait, I think
end,
I'm wrong.
the way
I
they
think I'm
present
wrong.
We
it.
only saw some of like there's probably a million different variant Lokis. Like it's totally understandable that a Loki could look a little different than Tom Hiddleston. It's just the ones that they grabbed happened to.
But why do you
What
think
was funny, she's not a natural blonde,
Hold
and
on.
Tom Hiddleston is. I was like, that's so
Oh.
weird. Why did you just give
Jasmine,
her
what was your
her
question?
normal hair?
Oh no, I was just gonna say, if she is a variant of Loki, how come she didn't say this is not about us instead of this is not about you? Because by her saying
Yeah.
it's not about
She's
you,
trying to blow up the TVA.
well, she was kind of like she was implying that they're different.
Yeah.
Well,
And
she's
when
the
he
superior Loki,
when he
you know?
called her Loki, she was like, "Don't call me that." Like she seemed angry
Yeah.
that he called her Loki.
Well,
Or
I
Maybe
think-
she's gonna be
Yeah.
going by
Well,
Enchantress.
I think-
perhaps
Who
that's
knows?
because
I
she
don't
isn't
think she's-
Loki. Loki's somebody
It
from
is.
another timeline,
Loki,
and
man.
she's trying to maintain her own
Johnny,
free
you're
will,
crazy.
not
do you-
be pruned into submission.
So wait,
you
we
know?
left the episode ended with Loki following her through the time door. Do we think the next
Right.
episode begins with them
Yes.
having a
Yes.
conversation with each other?
Johnny,
Like,
I think you're crazy.
clear some of this up.
No,
I think
you're
so,
crazy.
Yeah, I think so.
You think she's
I think
not?
they might- probably need to
All
be
new
analyzed.
nerds unleashed.
Once
Well,
again.
let me break down because Jasmine raised a good point. Let me break down that scene in the dialogue because it starts with Loki saying, "I want to rule the TVA. Put my cards on the table. I want to rule the TVA.
Right.
Come rule it with me."
Yeah.
This is not about your thing, Johnny.
Right.
So,
Okay.
like in response to that, her whole mission, I think, is to destroy the TVA. So her response of it's not about you, like it's not like it doesn't matter about what you want. Like I'm trying to blow up the TVA. Not only that, like it could be the I'm my own identity. I'm not you. Like
Yes.
we maybe both be the same person, but we're very different.
Okay.
In
I'm sorry to
spirit.
interrupt. I do have to go.
Yeah.
So
No worries, man.
See you,
All right.
Johnny.
I just okay. All right. Bye, everybody.
See ya.
Thank you.
Bye,
See you,
Johnny.
buddy.
Take
Levi
care.
and I are on the
Bye.
same page on
But I
both
think
of those
I,
things.
I think that response of it's not about you is more about how like, dude, you're still trying to rule the TVA. I was doing that like 10 years
Right.
ago. This is
But
about.
I mean, there's still
this
different
place is
people, you
evil.
know. Like,
Definitely
Yeah,
like 10 steps ahead then.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah.
He was
Oh,
coming
yeah.
onto her with his normal like I need a lieutenant.
Exactly.
Like where he
it
was
felt
trying to
like
act superior to
2012
her.
It felt
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
2012
Exactly.
Avengers Loki, which is
Yeah.
what
She
this
was
is
like,
just-
"Aw, isn't that
ego
cute?"
check after ego check for Loki. Like
Yeah.
our Loki, anyways.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think that's the cards.
But
I
then
think
in her
that's
being
his
like, don't
motivation.
call me Loki is because she's not. She's her own person. She's not a version of him.
But
They're not
she's
versions of each other. They're two different people from two different timelines. And she realizes that. And he doesn't.
yeah, but she's versed enough in
still
what's going on to
centering
know who
himself in the
Loki
narrative.
is.
Right.
He never heard of her before.
Right.
But she's obviously heard of him.
She's heard of
'cause
him.
Yeah, so like she's definitely
Well, also another point in the whole
knows what she's talking
who are
about.
they? He says me presumably, and she says if anybody's you, it's
yeah,
me.
it's true.
Mhm.
Like
Right. And
This is such
I like the idea that she takes on the Enchantress name and maybe they combine the characters or something like that.
I think they're
One,
combining the
they may-
characters.
I think
yeah,
so.
and because like one, it's gonna be tough in the show if they're just calling each other Loki like back and forth. It might be a bit at first, but she's gonna be like, "Call me this" or something like that.
Call me
Yeah.
Sylvie.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Sylvie, Right.
I feel like in Falcon and Winter Soldier we had that character Battlestar and people were all excited about it. Dylan, I know you were kind of like, hey, Battlestar, it's gonna be all, and then like he
Dead.
died,
Battlestar's out.
dead.
Yeah, unceremoniously.
So I feel like they don't like these like lesser, smaller characters from the comic books. Like you can keep like you can include Enchantress in that
Right,
category
yeah.
of like, okay, people that are familiar with the comics, they know these characters, but they're small enough that they're not going to make a big deal out of it. Like if anything, they might kill her in the next episode, and it's
True,
you're
yeah.
not even going to care at that point. It's just
what was his name? Battlestar's name. It was
Lamar
Lamar
Hoskins.
Lamar Hoskins. Thank you.
Yeah.
That was so sad.
R.I.P.
That was such a sad moment.
F in
and
the
I was
chat.
surprised
F
more
in the
than
chat
anything
for,
because he was a
Battlestar.
character from the comics, but that was a hard moment to watch.
Yeah, and just to see how it affected him. You know, that showed us a soft side to him for sure. U.S. agent.
Yes.
Agent.
You know, it's funny. I haven't been thinking about Falcon Winter Soldier. Like, I don't even know if I am inclined to watch it again because I feel like it's more of like a even WandaVision. I don't feel inclined for like a second watch currently. I know like we watched them recently. I might go back for a refresher if we like once we get like a whole
Maybe
new-
before season
once
2
Phase 4.
comes.
You know, it's funny because like Phase 4, I think. Like Loki, like the first episode of Loki was like the first time like a lot of people were like, okay, this feels like Phase 4 is like finally like taking off now. Like it's, and I feel like Bad Batch, we kind of had a similar thing in that like a lot of people have been, oh, is this kind of just like Clone Wars season 8? Like, and we've been like yes and no, but like now that Cad Bane showed up, it's like no, this is definitely Clone Wars season 8. It feels like
no, I still know it's still its own thing, man.
it is, but
If it
bringing
were
Cad
Clone
Bane
Wars
in, it's
season 8,
like
if it were Clone Wars season 8, we would be getting the full. Like I feel like we forget what the structure of Clone Wars was like. I mean, these were arcs that were totally disconnected from one another. Like that Cad Bane Boba arc, it was just its own thing. You could have watched that as a short film connected
yeah.
to the rest of the show. This is
Right.
all tied into Omega and the Batch. Like everything has to revolve around
Yeah.
these four main
Well, I
characters.
You can
Remember
tell
how-
they're interested in telling Clone Wars stories.
Yeah.
Yes,
in it,
I
though.
agree with that.
Like,
They
yeah.
definitely want to retell the Clone Wars stories, but Clone Wars, don't get my hopes. Get my hopes up. I want those stories. Like, come on, Dark Disciple. You're a big fan. You're the
Oh,
biggest fan
yeah.
of Dark Disciple. I know. Like, that's a Clone Wars story that was going to be in the show, but that doesn't really
Mm-hmm.
have anything to do with Anakin and Ahsoka and Obi-Wan. Like
Right.
that's
Yeah.
the Clone Wars. The Clone Wars it was a whole different beast. It was a different breed.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
So, Quinlan Voss, man.
Do you think
I'm
they
still
could
hoping to see
do
him
a Visions
show.
Dark Disciple adaptation? Do
Oh
you see
my
that working
goodness.
out? Or
Oh my goodness.
I don't think they have enough time.
how long was Dark Disciple going to be? Was it just going to be
2
4
hours.
episodes?
It was going to be
2
9
oh,
episodes.
Okay. All right.
Nine
well, maybe,
episodes?
Yeah, it was 8 or 9
I feel
episodes.
like we got robbed.
Yeah,
It was the biggest
Yeah,
arc.
totally.
It was the
Maybe they
biggest arc
won't-
in Clone Wars.
maybe they
ever.
won't do it.
It was
in
I
gonna be
the
love
season.
Asajj Ventress. She's my favorite character. You know, it's funny. Asajj Ventress is my favorite. Cad Bane is my second favorite.
That's sweet.
Um,
So this was a good episode for you.
Oh yes, definitely.
Tosh had great character development.
100%.
best.
Sauce Ventress is awesome.
I'm
Yeah.
so disappointed we don't have closure on her, like other than the book.
At least you
Yeah.
got it. At least you
Yeah,
got the story told.
But it's a sad ending, man. It's. I don't want to ruin the book if you guys haven't read it, but spoiler alert:
I haven't
Asajj
read it,
dies.
but I know what happened.
Yeah. Do you know what interaction I
Wow.
want to see in the Star Wars universe? I want to see Cad Bane and why am I drawing a blank?
Boba Fett.
1 sec. No, not Boba Fett. What's his? How do I not remember his name?
Embo.
Embo?
No.
Which that really
Season episode 1. Season
Morello
2.
Evol.
Episode 1.
Season 2 of Mandalorian. Why? I'm drawing a blank here.
Oh, Cobb
It's like-
Vanth.
Cobb
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 Vanth.
Yes, that's the name.
Yeah,
All right.
Dude, good
Yeah.
call.
Cad Bane would kick the shit out of Cobb Vanth.
Yeah, he
Probably,
would.
but it'd
He
still be
would.
they're both
Cobb
cowboys.
Cobb
Vanth is
Vanth
a-
doesn't have
Cobb Vanth
Mandalorian
is a-
armor anymore
Yeah,
either.
Cobb Vanth is a
Yeah.
chump compared to Cad Bane, dude. Kidding me?
Hey.
Bane has gone against the Jedi,
True.
so that's
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Cad Bane put a good fight up against Obi-Wan and Quinlan.
And
Voss.
Quinlan.
Yep.
Yeah, freaking
Yeah.
Cad Bane took Quinlan Voss's
Two
lightsaber. and fought
masters.
Obi-Wan
And
with it.
it's
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
the thing
true.
with Cad Bane is that he always gets the job done and he always lives. So it's just like
Cad Bane. That's sweet.
that's
Well,
perfect.
legendary. I just I'm kind of worried for him now because what we were talking about
Yeah.
earlier with Boba Fett, if he comes in,
No, he's dead for sure.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
He'd
I
be
feel like
old
we're
man.
lucky.
Back.
We're lucky that they brought him back. If they do kill him right away, like I'm gonna feel like happy that we
Yeah,
even got
I'd
him
be.
back.
I would be satisfied if they kill him in Bad Batch. Like, if anything, I'm almost more for
especially
that
if
than
Boba
Fett.
does it in the
Yeah,
way that we
Cad
think that he
is a
does.
stepping
Exactly.
stone for Boba.
Yeah.
Right.
That's how it.
I just hope they hit the same beats. as
I'm
they
almost
do in
leaning
that arc.
towards like, yeah, Cad Bane's definitely gonna die. I think you're right, Levi.
Is it possible he shows up in the Mandalorian, and that's when Boba and him have the showdown?
Well, we
No, because-
decided that Cad
but how
Bane's
do you
gonna
get
be
the
way
dent?
too old.
Like
yeah.
I feel like Cad giving Boba the dent on his head
That's true. That's
is
big.
such a
Yeah.
cool idea.
Older now
that-
than Boba.
I feel like taking away that dent lore, if you were, is kind
Right.
of unfortunate. Like now we
I
don't
love
know.
that too, though, because it means that Cad Bane, like, he got a headshot. Like he
Yeah, he
technically.
did.
Yeah.
that.
No, he like could have won.
So
should've
yeah,
won
he
it,
like
maybe.
Oh my
wins
God.
the shootout, but then yeah.
If I can have the floor for a second, I just remembered something crazy. So I was listening to someone talk about this yesterday. They were just going like crazy deep into the gunfight between Bane and Hunter and relating it to Bane and Boba, and how Bane says, I've killed 1,000 clones or whatever.
Loved
You're
that.
The same.
Loved that.
And how
What a savage.
Hunter, he has his hand on his gun, but
Yeah.
Cad has his hand on his hip because Cad knows the clone is going to try to aim because he's a soldier. That's part of his training. But
Oh, they
Cad
did go
Bane,
deep.
but Cad Bane knows how to hip fire, and so he's firing from the
Yeah.
hip and it is getting that extra second while Hunter's trying to aim at him to get him. But then taking that into the Boba fight, he thinks because great Cad knew Django, and he thinks that Boba is just another clone. So he thinks he's got this kid on lock because he's like, you're gonna make the same mistake as all these other clones did. But Boba ain't like that. Boba's been trained by Aura Singh, Bosk, the works, Django himself, and that's why they're evenly matched. And like that little detail that their
Yeah.
hand placement was different and that Hunter's was on his gun and Cad's was on his hip. I was watching it back. I'm like, that's crazy.
Actually,
This is that same line too. on
using
Boba.
That's awesome.
using that
Like,
exact same logic, Levi, using the exact same logic, you could
That's
be like,
awesome.
wow, that's a good opportunity for Omega to take out Cad Bane.
Oh,
Yeah.
I don't know about that. but
He did shoot her with a stun gun. She does need payback now, and maybe
Yeah.
like no, she would never beat him in a one-on-one shootout. Like she's just a kid. He would
just a
literally-
little detail that he knows that Hunter is going to go to aim because he's a soldier. I was like, that's
is
so
nice, yeah.
good. And he shoots from the hip. I was
that's a
like,
good observation.
that is crazy.
that is
Yeah.
going deep.
I
That's
loved,
going.
I loved that scene.
That's
Yeah,
balls
I-
deep.
I just hope that if
sorry.
Boba finishes the job in Bad Batch, I hope it's similar themes to how it was held in the arc.
I don't
done in
think
the arc.
I don't think we get the moment in Bad Batch. I think Boba would show up. That was one of my predictions. We predicted a lot of these bounty hunters showing up before the show started. That was like one of
Right.
our
Yeah.
more like locked predictions. Like we think this could happen. This is pretty reasonable. Like Cads and the Bobas, and so it is. It's panning out. But I don't think we get like the full on duel between them.
Yeah. It would be weird to just
I
switch
think that happens
perspectives
later.
to them. Because like the only other time we're away from the Bad Batch is Camino and that one
Crosshair.
time with Fennec. And yeah, Crosshair and that one time when Fennec's like I couldn't or she's talking to the Kaminoans. So it would be
Yeah.
weird to just like they'd have to do it right.
I still think it happens just later.
So wait a minute, Levi. We never went to Raxus.
Not
We
yet.
were on
Not there yet.
bracket. Oh, okay. I thought you were saying that it had to happen before because it
No,
was
I
in
was
the-
saying. So before 2 weeks ago, before Brocka's episode, I was campaigning for Raxus before Brocka because I knew Brocka
okay.
was a 2-parter and I knew Brocka was going to be like a mid-season.
Because I was just about to say, they're obviously Cad Bane's heading to Camino. Crosshair and his crew are going to be following the Bad Batch, who are going to be chasing Omega towards
But
Camino.
here,
So
I'll lay
we're
out-
going to Camino. We have to stop somewhere first. It's not
I've
just going to
developed
be a.
I've developed a new theory. So yeah, but like as I said, I thought that Raxus would come before Brocka because I knew Brocka would be a big episode because I knew Crosshair and the Batch would confront. So I thought that would be like the mid-season. But we got Brocka first, so it's a 2-parter. So obviously Raxus couldn't be this week. But I don't think that Raxus is next week. I think Raxus is the week after because
okay.
we know the titles of the episodes.
Oh,
And the title of episode 10 is called Common Ground. And who better to find common ground with than former Republic soldiers and former Separatist soldiers? Like, you're going to Raxus, the freaking Separatist homeworld. Like, what are
Oh.
you doing there? Who you getting there? Those are people who you fought against. Now you got common ground against this empire. Common ground. There you
Right.
go.
Yeah. I'm just really interested to see where they're going next episode. Like, what's their next? Like, obviously they can't just storm Camino and get Omega back. Like,
No,
it's
she's
not
gonna
gonna happen.
Oh, right away, like the Bad Batch, because they still don't know who hired Bane, right?
That's true. Yeah. He even says like, "Who hired you?" I'm pretty sure, and he doesn't tell.
So that's
Hunter.
confidential.
Might go back to Sid, and I think Sid.
Yeah, I could see them
You
being
owe
like-
me money.
Right.
Hmm.
Yeah, because she found out who Fennec was. She can certainly find out who Cad Bane is if they don't already know who Cad Bane is.
Wait,
I
I just
don't-
got the impression that the Kaminoans hired Cad Bane. But
Well,
They
they
did, but
did.
they don't know
They
that.
didn't tell that to the Bad Batch.
oh,
They
The
still
Bad
don't
Batch
know.
probably thinks that the Empire hired him, if anything. Maybe. But even
Yeah.
then, I don't know. That's still
at this
I
point,
think-
see, we're probably done with Sid. I would think for now. Like,
I
she-
think they go back to Sid. Like, where else do they go right now? I know they want to try to get Omega.
Well,
but
Hunt at the end of the episode, Hunter's like, we have to go after them. Like, he's like,
But
he has
how?
Omega.
how?
You mean
Yeah,
because
they
he
gotta
doesn't
find
know
out
where
who
he
Cad
is?
Bane
Fine,
is
like-
Yeah,
first,
like, what are you
yeah.
gonna do? You got to
Something
go
like
back to.
allies together to get Omega back.
I don't know. I
gotta
guess you could like infer from like the fact that she's a clone. Why would there be a bounty on specifically her and not all of them? They would have to be able to figure out.
Yeah.
the
I mean, he does
Kaminoans.
ask Cad who hired you. So maybe Tech could be like, clearly it's the Kaminoans or something like that.
Hunter
Good-
needs, but
good
Hunter
impression
needs
there.
Hunter needs medical
Clearly.
help. Like, they need to get
Yeah.
their shit back together. I think I think they go back to Sid.
And
I
I
think they go
I
back
could
to
see them
Sid.
Hunter describing Cad Bane to Sid, and she's like, "Oh no, like
Yeah.
you guys are not getting."
And
that
maybe
kid
and
back."
maybe Sid sends them on a job to Raxus to pay off her debt,
Oh yeah.
and then goes. But maybe Raxus could be next week. Either
How
way,
much
Ra-
did you guys love seeing that, like the point of view inside the helmet at the end
Sweet.
there?
Very
we
good.
had
That's
That
great.
was
Very
awesome.
great.
loved that. We haven't seen that before from inside a clone helmet.
But Mike, have you talked about the episode titles? There's some juicy
No,
ones.
I didn't realize that they were released.
Yeah, they
Wait.
were released.
Question for you guys: do you think that while Omega is back with the Kaminoans, that'll be the time where we maybe find out what her skill is? Because up until now we've kind of been guessing, but it hasn't been confirmed, right? Like, I'm wondering if whatever they're planning on doing with her, they'll say something that will reveal what her skill is.
I have a
potentially.
prediction for that. We're based on the episode titles. So
Oh.
episode 10 is called Common Ground. Episode 11 is called Devil's Deal, which is like
Wait, what about episode 9?
Oh, shoot.
we don't
They
know.
didn't
9.
do episode.
Oh,
nine.
okay.
It's for July. We know the one's for July.
Oh,
It was a press release. It was just like a Disney Plus press release.
that's just
Here's
funny
the
how
episodes.
you have like titles for 10 and 11, but not 9. That's-
Bizarre, right?
Yeah.
Devil's Deal, which everyone is like Darth Maul, like Devil's Deal. Who's you making a deal with? Who's the devil? Like
Darth
what?
Maul. yes,
uh,
please. Yes, please.
episode 13, which is or 12, which is Rescue on Ryloth. Hera,
Oh, nice.
Cham, Ryloth.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Rescue on
Twi'leks.
Rescue on Ryloth. So that's like a
Yes,
pretty
yes,
specific
yes.
one. Episode 13, Infested, which I don't know what that means. But
Oh, maybe go back and get that little girl that Waxer and Boyle rescued.
Numa, maybe.
Omega can make
And
friends
you
with
see
her.
Numa and you see Numa in
that's true.
Rebels, so she's
She's
around.
older now. I think they showed her again in the Clone Wars when she was older.
Yeah, you see her in
remember what
Rebels too.
Oh.
She's in Rebels.
Right.
Numa.
But and then episode 14 is the big one. It's called War Mantle.
Oh,
So-
you could even. Oh, Cham Syndulla is still around, right? You could get
Yeah.
Cham Syndulla
Cham-
and
Cham
maybe
would be
even
on
Hera.
Ryloth fighting.
We're always looking for ways to bring in other characters. Like, oh, this is an opportunity for Hera.
But 14, Mike, 14. It's
100%,
it's
yeah.
called War Mantle. So that that's the big episode where we see I think the clones switch to. I think we see stormtroopers in that episode, like full on stormtrooper
Oh.
armor.
Yes,
Imperial Star
sir.
Destroyers, TIE fighters, like War Mantle. If War Mantle is then like that's Rampart's plan to switch over the clones. So
When do we get Ahsoka, or do we get Ahsoka?
Yeah.
We have to get her. We've
Yeah.
done it.
If
So-
we do, it'll be one episode like Rex, and it's not going to be about her. It's going to be
Yeah.
same way
Yeah.
that she's like supporting character
about
in one
you.
episode of The Mandalorian.
The,
I think
the
that's
only
appropriate.
the only like reason that I am holding out hope for Ahsoka is not
Might not
necessarily
get her at all.
Rex, but Trace and Rafa.
Yes.
Is
Oh.
like that's like a Rex would have no idea who Trace and Rafa is without Ahsoka's tip.
That's true.
So
maybe during
Yeah.
the Siege of Mandalore, she's like, "Hey, you want to hear about these really cool people
Yeah.
I met?"
yeah, exactly right. I just think, and
He's like,
again,
"Why are you
even
bringing
we-
this up, Commander Tano?"
We kind of
Yeah.
just talked about how like coincidences don't really matter in Star Wars, but it would be a very big coincidence if like Trace and Rafa
Well-
were like, we want to help, and then it was just to Rex.
Well, I know. I feel like it makes because at the end of season 7, at the very end, it makes sense that like Rex and Ahsoka would like immediately like need to find somewhere to hide, and that she would be like, "Well, let me call these friends I just made. Like maybe they can help us out." Like
That's true. Yeah.
So that could be his in with them, how he met them, like immediately after season 7.
Right. Or
Because
Rex.
from what
is
we
like,
know from
"Hey,
the
we-"
Ahsoka novels, that she doesn't. They don't. Rex and Ahsoka do not stick around with each other for long. Like that,
No,
they have
do
to.
not. Yeah.
They have to say their byes and pretend like nothing. Pretend like they're dead. And Rex
Yeah.
even pointed out how he's
Listed as dead, right?
yeah, he's listed as dead on, what is it, deceased in
Yeah,
What's
but
the term?
Entire-
killed in action.
still in action, yeah.
Yeah,
Like, so King of
KIA.
Cards is talking about R7, but R7 goes with Rex at the end of Clone Wars, so it doesn't
Yeah.
actually mean anything with Ahsoka.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think we want to see her, but I wouldn't get your hopes up because as
I
Levi
don't
was
wanna
pointing
see her.
out, this isn't Clone Wars season 8. It's its own thing. They gave us Caleb Doom though. They gave us Cad Bane. Like they gave us the sisters, the Mortez
Yeah, right.
sisters. So it's like if they can pull all these
Oh.
things out of their booty, they can give us a little bit of Ahsoka. Give us the
They could definitely use her help against Bane because she's fought him before.
That's true.
oh yeah.
Time where she could help them.
At least
Boss,
a
Quinlan
nudge
boss.
around Ahsoka. Just like, I don't know. I don't think we'll see her in the flesh, but
I don't think we will
Um,
either.
Yeah.
No, I'm on the fence.
There's
Yeah.
a lot of
As much as I would
I
like
mean,
to.
same with like Bo-Katan, same thing. Like, oh, you could get it or you could not get it. It's
Crazy that we have a full 8 episodes left.
yes.
This
Yeah,
is only half.
yeah.
Like this felt like the end of the season, but this is
I mean, Mando would be over by now.
yeah. But we have a whole nother
Right.
run of episodes.
Loki's gonna come and go, and you're still gonna be watching Bad Batch.
Exactly. Right. Yeah.
That's very true.
Right.
Well,
What's
speaking
going to
of-
be next on the Marvel?
Black Widow,
Black
Black
Widow is
Widow.
coming
But
out.
do we know
Black
what
Widow,
show
yeah.
is next?
Hawkeye. I think
Or is it
That's next.
There's
either Hawkeye or Miss Marvel.
She-Hulk too, right? The She-Hulk and Moon Knight.
That's
There was
not
an
it. Those aren't out this
announcement
year.
for She-Hulk this week, which is that Jamila Jamil, ironically from The Good Place, which we've talked about, that she's playing a villain in She-Hulk. But I don't know if we even have dates for that yet, do we?
No, we don't. The stuff we
okay.
have dated that is filmed and is like in post production is
Right.
Hawkeye and Miss.
Oh yeah.
Those
I
are
saw
coming out
somebody
this year.
I saw somebody point out how how in the Eternals trailer where they were like, we've remained like they don't get their hands in anything. They've stayed to the sidelines for eternity, but now they're finally getting involved for a reason. People are like, "Oh, is this like what's happening in Loki? Like the timelines getting screwed up and like the multiverse coming back into play? Is that why the Eternals are finally like, all right, we gotta get involved now?" And that's how
There's
we
been
end
a
up.
lot of theorizing about this. As you know, as everybody knows here, like I'm more excited for Eternals than any of the other movies that are currently on
Which
the
is
plate. That's
surprising.
the one I've been waiting for. And there was this announcement about Black Panther 2 that we're going to see the Atlanteans, and a lot of people are going, "Ooh, are we going to find out in Eternals about how Atlantis sank? What happened to it?" I don't know if that's likely or not, but I think part of the magic is that we don't really know what it is that brings them out of hiding or why they're suddenly getting their hands dirty. So I'm very, very excited to find out about that. Like I am
Yeah.
ready for that movie.
I'm curious if Black Widow is gonna like what the interest is gonna be. Like if people are gonna if it's gonna kind of fly over a lot of people's heads because it kind of missed the boat
Yeah, this movie was supposed to come out like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the double whammy of like the constant rescheduling, which is not their fault. And,
There is
but
the
which
like
has
people are
definitely-
finally going back to movie theaters now though. There is that.
Right.
So
Well, and
that
I
is-
think
that
the
has
film
that
is
on its
coming
side.
out concurrently in theaters and on Disney Plus simultaneously, I believe.
No, I think the Disney Plus is delayed 90 days.
No,
Okay.
it's on Disney Plus.
Okay.
Immediately
No,
when
no.
it's in theaters?
Yeah, you have to pay for it, but it's still on
that's
Disney
what
Plus.
I heard.
Oh, it's the like premium
Because
Disney Plus.
Yeah.
Places aren't reopened
Yeah.
everywhere, and a lot of people have good reason not to be able to go out right now still.
Yeah.
So that's what I heard, was that it was going to
Wait,
be on
Jasmine,
Disney
you said
Plus
you guys are still in lockdown, right? In Canada?
in Canada.
We're like in the early stages of reopening, but a lot of things are still closed. Like salons are still closed.
Movie theaters are
gyms
closed,
are
right?
still closed.
Canada extended the border closure for another like
Right.
month.
And state to state,
Yeah.
it varies in the US as well. And many people, like folks who are immunocompromised, still can't go out in public. Kids aren't
Right.
vaccinated, which is a big thing for
Our
a
vaccination rate is
Disney,
still a lot higher
movie.
than Canada's. So
But
No.
it's
no offense.
there's so much variation.
Canada's
I
got
had
universal
heard-
health care though, so hey.
Right.
Yeah, there you go.
Touche,
So there's
touche.
that.
Yeah,
But yeah, I
yeah.
had heard that it was going to drop on Disney Plus simultaneously, but I think there is this double whammy of it's been delayed and delayed and delayed, which not only is like pleasure delaying, but also things like the appearance of the Contessa Val de Fontaine was thrown out of order because of the delay.
Oh,
And then
true.
also because she's in Black Widow apparently, and originally that would have come first, so we would have known who that was or what was up before she appeared in Falcon and the
And,
Winter Soldier.
Oh,
And
Face.
unfortunately, it was a very confusing
Yelena.
moment because she came out of nowhere. We were like, "What?"
And Yelena was supposed to be in Falcon Winter
And
Soldier.
Yelena was supposed to be in Falcon and Winter Soldier, but now isn't because like the movie's not out yet. So there was a lot of confusion around those two storylines, and that unfortunately like muddies the waters a little bit. And I think also the fact that we just long since at this point already know what happens to Natasha. It just
Yeah,
I feel like
we've
I don't
moved
know.
on.
This has a tall wall to scale to sort of live up to expectations.
Hey, wait a minute.
Definitely.
Hey Levi, did Star Wars Santa tally up his the quiz this week?
Oh yeah.
I feel like I
think-
got every answer correct on that quiz, and I haven't
I don't
seen a
remember
result
what
anywhere.
I did.
I'm sure you can DM him. It was
Yeah.
It was Father's Day. Yeah, tomorrow. He was doing something
Tomorrow.
for Father's Day though. The other day. I don't know why though,
Okay.
because Father's Day is tomorrow. But
Yeah, it is.
It's so true. Thanks for
Speaking of
reminding me.
which, yeah, my I gotta go collect my son. So
Go collect him.
yeah,
I'm going to go.
Bound
How
to.
old is your son, Mike?
he's 3.5.
The
Yeah,
giant baby is delightful.
he's a terrorist.
I was a big baby. I was like 9 pounds when I was
The
born.
terrorist.
Really?
This kid is the size of like a 5-year-old, and he's 3.5, and he's huge.
But anyway, yeah, I'm gonna wrap the stream up now. Guys, thanks for
Alright,
joining.
I'm glad I jumped in. Yeah.
I'm glad you're here too, man.
Yeah.
I'm
I
glad
was
we
just kind of
finally-
sitting back and I was like, you know what? They're just vibing. Like I don't want to steer things.
No,
off
yeah,
course,
definitely
but-
hop in anytime. Hop in anytime we want.
Sounds
The more the
good.
merrier, and we need to have some sort of force to go up against Jenny, so that there's
I'm
other.
super
people.
excited to be back in the room with all of you, and I'm very excited
I
to
am too.
have Jasmine here because you're awesome, and I've been like waiting to get to be in the room with you. So
Likewise. I know
This
it's
is cool.
long overdue.
Yes.
Nice to finally
Yeah.
meet you face to face.
Yeah, one of these days we'll get Jen. You know what? Actually, Jenny, I've been considering is like maybe we should do like a. We should do a regular Star Wars mainline trilogy watch along where like Jenny watches Star Wars and we just
You've
get
seen
Jenny.
Star Wars though, right?
like a zillion times. Yeah.
Yeah,
And we
Well-
point out everything in the
I've
background.
seen every single Star Wars thing except the animated content, which I just can't get interested in. But
When are you
I
gonna
have
read the Bad
and
Batch?
as you know, I have read the Clone
Yes.
Wars. I just haven't watched it, or Rebels, or Bad Batch.
Hey.
But everything else, like I'm very up to date.
You know
on.
what? Jenny's on board for Mandalorian and Book of Boba Fett. We're definitely gonna do We'll do Book of Boba Fett together for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Listen to that.
but the Boba Fett storyline was like far and away, no competition, my favorite storyline in Mandalorian so far. Like I was so, especially because I saw season 2 after it had already been out a little bit, and so the beans had been spilled and I knew Luke was coming. So that moment didn't have the impact for me that it did for everybody who saw it right when it dropped. But like the Boba Fett reveal, like, that was such an epic story to me. I had so many emotions around.
I'm so excited to
Boba
find out
Fett.
what's the conflict going to be in the Book of Boba Fett. It can't just be, oh, we're like the masters of the underworld now, and this is like, you know, there's got to be like, what's the storyline going to be? What's Boba Fett's what's his main conflict going to be?
Yeah,
Right,
fools.
seen some people like they start to get a little carried away, and Mando's like, "Yo, you guys gotta like calm down here," and then it gets to Game of Thrones, like different clans, different stuff like that. But who knows? Who
Boba Fett
knows?
can't handle the pressure of Jabba the Hutt's job,
It's entirely possible.
and he has a psychotic break.
Yeah.
Nah, anyway, it's been fun, guys. Thanks for joining us. Jasmine, Ahsoka Tano fan. Everybody haven't been over to Ahsoka Tano fans page, go check her out. Levi, Dylan, Johnny was here. All new nerds. We love you guys. Thanks for being here. And Jenny, as always,
Go gather that.
Thank you for the
kitten.
education. Yeah.
Bye,
All right, guys.
guys.
Bye,
It's been
everybody.
real. Thanks, guys.